Recite fatres ad vocem altam campanarum, dus Laurentius surgit lumen inter umbras, legionem Itaricam ad pugnam convocans, ut terrore seculi et mala mundi conterantur. Non timete, clamat illensis fidei fulgens, in vexil Lyceus crux rubra supernivem stat, per montes, per mare, per silvas obscuras, iter faciunt corde puro, in nomine veritatis, heresiae cadunt sicut, folia vento pulsa. Tenebra effugiunt ante gressus legionis, Laurentius dux fortis lumen quasi aurora, in hostes curit sicut leo sanctificatus, o Deus clamant milites, da nobis victoriam, ut pax in terris iterum floreata, tunc resonat caelum tonitu triumphali. Legio Italita vincit et justitia sit lausa aeternis, duci Laurentio custodi fidei, qui armatus lumine malicia et voltas fegit, et orbe fractum ad pacem reduxit.
Hai mai pensato di risparmiare nell'acquisto dei tuoi giochi preferiti? Clicca il link che trovi sotto ai nostri video e scopri anche tu la convenienza di eneba.com. Eneba.com è il marketplace europeo fatto su misura per te. Tutti i grandi titoli AAA del momento, le novità e tutte le collezioni DLC dei tuoi strategici preferiti. Eneba.com è completamente in italiano e dispone di un servizio H24/7/7 per garantirti sempre il supporto di cui hai bisogno. Acquistare è facile, basta selezionare il gioco che desideri e scegliere in fase di checkout il metodo di pagamento. Lo puoi fare sia con PayPal per una maggiore tutela che con carta di credito. Eneba.com è il marketplace ideale per il cicciullo smart che vuole restare al passo con le novità e che tiene al proprio borsello. Acquista dai nostri link che trovi sotto ai video per risparmiare ed aiutarci a crescere. Eneba.com, perché pagare di più? Ciccioli belligeranti, buongiorno e bentornati dal vostro Dictator Lawrence. Ci siamo dopo un sacco di tempo senza comunicazioni ufficiali da parte della stessa Creative Assembly. Oggi c'è tantissima carne al fuoco perché il topic di questo show and tell di Creative Assembly andrà a toccare non soltanto quelli che sono i prossimi titoli in uscita da parte della casa britannica, ma anche un clamoroso annuncio che riguarda probabilmente il titolo più giocato attualmente di quelli, diciamo, old school, di quelli storici, da parte di Total War, ovvero di Rome 2. Medieval 3, Rome 2, Warhammer 3, ma anche Warhammer 40K, e poi il community inbox che andremo a seguire insieme a lui, Tempest Timer. Ciao Tempest!
Buonasera, buonasera a tutti.
Buonasera, buonasera anche a voi, ciao ragazzuoli, buongiorno, buongiorno, ciao Valos, ciao Cigno, un saluto a Marcus, Giuseppe, ciao Nico, Paolo, Petrenco, un saluto anche nel mondo di Mattia G, a tutti i ragazzi che oggi vogliono condividere insieme in live quelle che saranno le grandi novità che scopriremo insieme. Quello che vi posso dire è che non ci sarà un deep dive enorme per quanto riguarda Medieval 3, per quello dovremo ovviamente aspettare quest'estate, ma verrà mostrato, attenzione, l'approccio al roster delle fazioni, prendendo ad esempio una singola faction, e ci sarà il classico Q&A, le risposte alle domande più calde della community. Per quanto riguarda invece Rome 2, e qui lo dico con un po' di orgoglio, non posso anticipare niente, ci sarà un video che preparerò al termine della live, nel quale vi darò i dettagli, ma vi dico soltanto che in quello che ci sarà di Rome 2 c'è anche un po' di legge italica, perché c'è una sorpresa assoluta. Era stato accennato, diciamo, lo scorso anno, ma oggi diventerà realtà, perché si sta tornando sui vecchi titoli e si tornerà su Rome 2 Total War. Queste sono le parole ufficiali da parte di Creative Assembly. Per quanto invece riguarda Warhammer 3, ovviamente tantissima carne al fuoco, perché ci saranno cambiamenti per l'intelligenza artificiale della campagna, rework degli assedi, ma non solo. Primo sguardo in engine a Bhashiva, l'eroe leggendario dell'update 8.0 free FLC, quindi gratis. Warhammer 40K, anche qui tanto da ascoltare, tanto da carpire, perché anche qua ci saranno delle risposte importanti, verranno mostrati delle visual planetarie per quanto riguarda lo sviluppo del gioco, e verrà spiegato come verranno gestite le battaglie sull'intero pianeta. E poi vabbè, ci sarà il classico community inbox. Buongiorno Salvo G, 1 minuto e 45, poi dopo andremo a sentire quello che ci vorranno dire. Ciao Thomas, buongiorno anche a Slod. Tu hai un bicchiere di Coca-Cola pronto, spero fresco, perché oggi fa anche abbastanza caldo, almeno dalle mie parti, nonostante il tempo non sia dei migliori. Tu che ti aspetti DLC per gli aggiornamenti di Rome 2? Non posso rispondere perché ho firmato un NDA, quindi devo aspettare il termine di questo annuncio, e quindi non ho neanche potuto preparare il video prima, perché è così, perché oggi va così. Come stai Thomas? Tutto bene? Sicuramente quello che vi posso dire, e che avevamo anche discusso in precedenza, è il fatto che questa voglia di Creative Assembly di ritornare sui vecchi titoli non è diciamo una cosa casuale, e non è assolutamente casuale il fatto che abbiano deciso di partire da Rome 2, perché Rome 2 è uno di quei titoli che, nonostante sia uscito da un sacco di tempo, è uno degli storici che registra il maggior numero di giocatori simultanei ad oggi, a distanza di più di 10 anni, in online. E lo dimostra anche il multiplayer. Se voi andate a giocare multiplayer su Rome 2 vi rendete conto di quante room sono aperte. E questo, diciamo, sarà un qualcosa che a noi interessa anche abbastanza, perché è un titolo che noi portiamo con una certa frequenza. 5 secondi e inizieremo a svelare gli altarini, ragazzi. Secondo te quali piccoli giochi minori sono più popolari? Eccoli. Ci siamo, aspetta che do volume.
Total War Show and Tell. Some of you who've been around in the community for a while may remember the old What the Teams Are Working On blogs. We thought about doing one of those, and then we
Grazie,
thought maybe
Matteo.
we could do something a bit more interesting. So we're here to effectively do a live version of them. we've got about 7 sections of this stream. You'll see some stuff down below, but Warhammer 3 has separate sections for updates, Bhashiva for Lords of the End Times. I'll say now, of anyone who's watched the Building Medieval 3 streams, you're going to see 2 very familiar faces very quickly. But that's kind of the vibe that we're going for here. So if you've come here expecting to see cinematics or highly polished assets, 80% of this was recorded by me at my home computer. So you're going to see some sneak peeks. You're going to see a lot of in development, a lot of rough stuff. But know that we're not going for high quality CGI trailers here. You're going to see some real behind the scenes developer footage. And we're going to start off. We've got a lot to go through, so we are going to speed through. We're going to start off with Medieval 3. So I'm going to
7 sezioni, ragazzi.
Whoa. To our Medieval 3 section. Welcome. The only people who've really, apart from Roger, I guess, sat on these sofas. You're up first.
No, non si possono mettere i sottotitoli perché è in diretta, se non erro. Fatemi controllare. No, non è in diretta, ma poi metteremo pausa e faremo un recap.
For those who haven't, or those who don't have a 2-month memory, who are you guys?
So I'm Pavel. I'm the game director on Medieval 3.
Hey everyone, my name is Leif. I'm the creative director on Medieval 3.
Fantastic. So I've spoken about the Building Medieval 3 streams, but what have we shown so far in Building Medieval 3?
So back in December, shortly after announce, we showed the campaign map for the first time, raw and unfiltered pre-production campaign, where we looked at some of the exciting new developments, like the building directly onto the map, as well as some other bits, and then we followed up with Siege. Siege battle just a month ago, I guess.
Yeah, and authoring of
sì, forse qualcosina più di un mese.
Right now, and some of the new bits of Siege gameplay. Yeah,
that's right. And the plan is that we do that. We drop a blog.
Mi date per favore intanto un feedback audio-video dalla chat?
That we're having and key topics from our forums. So please join the forums. There'll be a link up at some point to join us in the community. And yeah, we're looking to keep doing that. Yeah, so
fantastic. Well, I'll ask one last question, then we'll fully dive in. So, what is the current development focus?
Well, one of the exciting things we started since our last live stream was really to start looking into our unit rosters.
Yep.
We sometimes joke that we talk a lot about exciting features and new things and whatnot, but really what a lot of our fans are caring the most about is the unit roster. So it was a great time to start looking into that in more detail. I'm not sure we ever mentioned it on stream, but one of the historical consultants we worked with last year is Professor Peter Wilson, who is an expert on the Holy Roman Empire, and we felt like, okay, this is one of the reasons why starting with the Holy Roman Empire is actually a good start. It's also, of course, a very interesting, let's say, melting pot. It's not the most straightforward roster to start with, so it was a good, let's say, first.
Il loro volume ce l'ho al massimo, ragazzi.
Some of that detail today.
And just jump in, because actually some additional context for those that haven't maybe joined us on the Building Medieval live streams is that we are in pre-production. So this is still a phase where we are pre-producing the game. We are looking at which features can fit, what can work, how can it work, and building the rosters and designing the rosters and for the factions that we want to feature in the game as part of that work. So just some context.
Sono curioso del roster.
And I believe we'll be showing a little bit of roster from one of those factions, right?
Yep, we can start to just show sort of an overview. Don't worry, we'll talk more in detail about things, but obviously it's a long process to really settle on the roster, and as Pat was saying, we are still very early, so there's a lot of disclaimers here that things will probably change in the upcoming future. It typically starts with sort of really the game design view on it, where we do a lot of research. Oscar, one of our most experienced battle designers in the franchise, has taken the helm on this roster specifically to really catch, let's say, the vibe of, okay, the Holy Roman Empire, if you think of the military formations of the time, like what are they really about?
Yeah.
And then we had a great opportunity recently to collaborate with Dr. Tobias Cackwell, who's a former curator of the Wallace collection and really established coryphée, is that a word in English? A real established expert.
Yeah,
coryphée for the German.
He's a
real expert
of armor.
Yeah, exactly, like a real expert and
An accomplished jouster.
Yeah.
accomplished just as well.
I will quickly interject to say, Mr. Producer, if you could turn down your headset because we can hear it
Yes.
and it is echoing onto the stream.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Producer.
That's a little bit.
And one thing that,
Quindi già si vede al centro, diciamo, nella
nella
quinta colonna comunque i full plate armored
soldier.
soldier.
As we develop, as we pre-produce, as we look at different new topics, cultures, we reach out to various.
Questa cosa mi rassicura perché avevo avuto dei timori.
Whatever blind spots we may have, or reinforce the kind of research that we're doing. So it's part of that process. So these will not be the only names that we will be talking about during these streams.
We're just now
Yeah.
starting to reach out to some experts for more the Arabian Muslim cultures and factions we'll be looking at. So there's more to come there for sure.
Fantastic. So, do you want to talk a little bit about this one? The next picture we have is a very big picture that we tried to fit on the screen.
Yeah, let's go with the next one because I think one of the key things that I hope our community feels excited about is that we are moving away a little from, let's say, the old school view of a faction roster. One of the things we talked a lot about in the first stream was us making sure
Questi ce
that the
l'hanno
world
soltanto
feels lived
in
in,
Full
that there's a
HD, non
realness
ce
to the
l'hanno.
world, the world
Purtroppo le
responding
premiere
to
sono
your
cappate in Full
actions
HD,
and
si
feel the
legge
context,
praticamente
right?
niente, si
And one of the
legge.
things that always bothered me a little
credo
bit in
che
the
anche
older
che
games
anche
was
se
that
aumenti
you
la
would
qualità
capture
è
new
troppo
territory. and
No, 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 no,
and
non è un
units
problema
you
nostro, è
include are
proprio un
still
problema di
largely
YouTube
the
che
same,
tu
right?
puoi anche
One of the
registrare
cool
in
things in
4K,
Rome 2
ma se
was
poi
the
mandi in
auxiliary system
Premiere
where
non
you
va
capture
oltre il 1080p.
Egypt and then you
E
would
oggettivamente
start
io non
fielding
riesco, non so se in chat
Egyptian
riescono, ma io non
auxiliary
riesco a
units in
leggere
the
che cosa
arms.
c'è
That tells
scritto
me,
nei riquadri
okay,
dello
the
schema.
world is responding to my actions. There's strategic impact depending on what I conquer and when. It really influences the roster.
And as we've talked about this, this window to the world, this world feeling alive. The world is full of people. Population is a concept. We have cultures mixed. We wanted to find a way to represent that in a way that didn't feel
Questo è
too kind of
interessante.
contrived or-
Yeah.
I will say, so I can see people saying this
La
is
cultural
they can't read it.
population.
Yeah, that's on purpose.
They're not meant to.
You're not meant to read this.
Ha
We'll
detto
look
che
at a few
non
detailed
non
units
le
in a bit.
leggiamo
This
perché
is,
lo vogliono loro che
you're
non le
meant to look at
leggiamo.
the colors.
Ah, ok.
So what the colors are showing us here is
Ci credo poco,
everything
cosa
that's
ci credo
red on
poco.
the side. These are cultural units.
Sinceramente.
That's one of the sort of major leaps we're taking with rosters here, where all the units in red
Comunque
are not
dovrebbero dire a
technically part
questo
of
che
the
la
Holy Roman
sciarpina,
Empire
cioè,
roster.
questo secondo
e
me va a
maniche-
dormire, va anche a dormire con la sciarpina, ogni live c'è sulla
Cioè, maniche
sciarpina.
corte, cioè.
That are part of these,
Sì, vabbè, ma
these
inglese
cultures,
cosa pretendi?
would have
Nel
access
senso.
to these units. Because cultures can travel across the map. There's a lot of dynamism here where we'll talk about a Franconian unit in a bit. Like if you have access to Franconian culture, even playing as Poland, for example, you'll be able to have access to these units. And equally, me playing as the HRE, I might have access to these cultural units that are part of the, let's say, geography of these other
And it's
realms.
something you can
È praticamente quello che viene rappresentato
Courage.
per chi gioca a Divide et Impera con le unità Aur, l'accesso
Then in yellow
a
is
determinate
possibly the
unità
most
di una
important part.
determinata
These
cultura
are the
all'interno
units
di una
unique
determinata
to
area
the Holy Roman
geografica.
Empire alone. Like no
Sono le
other
unità
faction
Aur
ever has access
o
to
unità
these units.
locali.
And that's
Tra l'altro
of
a
course where we really
sinistra ci sono
lean
anche le
into,
linee di
let's say, the
tempo che
personality
spiegano
and
tipo early,
sort
mid,
of the
late,
vibe of
per dire
the
quando
Holy
sono
Roman
accessibili.
Trying
If
to
Mr. Producer could slightly turn down his headset a little bit more, we can still hear quite an echo. He can double check if it is his headset
I
and take
just
it off.
talk over
Sounds like a
myself.
speaker somewhere, maybe.
It's
It's live and unplugged.
Yeah. We should also say there's a big
In chat
forum
dicono
post
che assomiglia a
going
Wolverine
live
sciarpina.
right now, or
Qualcosa
maybe
ce l'ha
after
del
this,
Wolverine,
where there's a lot more detail about this. So
I think we
please-
have this image in high res as well, so you can see the
Yeah.
detail of that. So if you can't read it now, don't
So
worry.
please check out that forum post. The last color I will call out is blue, which is what we call a faction block. So that's sort of a granularity layer a little bit below the faction where, say you have the Duchy of Saxony breaking off the empire in revolt. The blue units would be what that faction has access to. So that's sort of in the rough geography and block of a certain faction to give a bit more regional identity, right?
Yeah.
If you have a revolt in France, there will
No,
have
no,
different
no,
units
non
than
credo
a revolt
proprio, Sportaco.
in Germany, for example. The other bit you might see on this sheet are the little labels on the side in the top right corner. They're green, gray, and blue labels, and they are the population estates that these units are drawn from, something we will talk more about in the future, in a possible future live stream. There's some more info in that forum post as well.
Esatto,
But that's
Petrenko.
really what kind of people do you need to recruit these units? Green is peasants, so that's your rural population. Gray is the townsfolk living in your cities, and blue is, of course, the nobles, as you would expect.
The
So,
noble.
so do please check out the forum
Ok.
post that we're
Quindi
trying to
praticamente
that will be, because it goes into a lot
il
more
verde
detail
sono i
about personal
peasants,
factions, the roster designs, the
I
cultures, the
cittadini
influences, all of this.
sostanzialmente
Really,
sono
really
rappresentati con il
comprehensive
grigio,
concept.
mentre i blu sono i nobili.
Have we covered all the colours of the rainbow?
Think so.
Ma
Okay.
ti si
So,
riferisce
check out
al
a few
blocchettino in alto a
specific
destra di
units.
ogni
Sì,
quadratino?
il quadro esatto.
Sì, spieghiamolo
For all
così.
of those who are demanding we zoom in. Finally.
Finally, a bit closer zoom. So, starting at the top picture is
E qual è la differenza in alto a
we're
destra?
currently calling ministerialis. Actually,
Vorrei
quite
capirlo
interesting when
anch'io.
we started to look into units across
Ah,
Europe. There was
sotto,
this trend
ok,
of,
si vede che cambia.
Si
let's
vede,
say,
cambiano
non-noble
ad esempio gli
knights.
elmi.
Of course, the British yeoman or English
A destra
yeoman.
mi sembrano uguali.
In Iberia, it's the villain knights, and in the Holy Roman Empire, it was the ministeriales, essentially a class of, let's say, non-noble, more wealthy townsfolk.
Probabilmente
uguali.
cambia. Cosa cambia?
or estate
Cambia
owners who would essentially
Ah, la
co-
gonnellina di quella
la
a destra.
gonnellina,
Right.
sì, di quello
La
tutto a
gonnellina.
destra è quasi
And there's sort of a
impercettibile.
lighter
Cioè,
version of the
quelli di
classic
destra
knights.
hanno lo spacco,
And
quindi
you
se
can see
devono
here the before and
fermarsi
after is
a fare
essentially
pipì possono
initial
farlo, quegli
concepts
altri
on the
no.
left,
Cioè,
and then on the right, after
So.
working with Tobias Capwell and his
è
feedback,
impercettibile
and,
questa cosa.
You know, of course, it's a little bit of
grandi
a flex on
cambiamenti
our side. Yeah,
importanti.
how well we got it right at the
We
beginning.
got to play spot the difference.
Yeah, sort of the level of detail.
Esatto,
and the feedback,
Kranos, esatto.
His main point of feedback was
Che ha
the
detto?
chaussées and that
Ha
really
detto
the
che la
calves
tunica
ought to
davanti
be
non è
protected,
tagliata, no?
and that's why on the right you
Ah,
can
sì,
see
sì.
essentially the calves being protected
Just
by
about,
chainmail.
yeah.
As
I have
well.
to squint, but yes, it's there.
Yeah. And then below is the Constafflers. So that's the unit that we
No, queste
currently
sono
sort of
truppe
see as
imperiali.
unique to Franconian culture.
Direi
And
di sì.
it's of course a topic we talk
Truppe
a lot about.
imperiali.
Okay, what is faction unique? What is cultural?
Dei von
But it really
Hohenstaufen.
felt like sort of deeply rooted
I
in
Lanzanecchi,
the mercantile
i
traditions of
Sforran.
Franconian, the wealthy
No, questo è
Franconian
prima.
cities, along
Qui
the
siamo,
river Rhine and whatnot.
qui siamo
And
nel
these are
periodo dello
essentially a
Stupor
professional,
Mundi.
almost like mercenary
Mamma mia,
militia,
Federico.
in service of the rich patricians of these cities and
Sì,
protecting
Giovanni.
these towns, and then occasionally being drafted into the armies of the empire. You can
Lanzanecchi
see
che anno
quite a bit
sono?
of change here that
1600?
we did after the feedback from
1700. Non so,
Toby,
i Lanzanecchi di che anno
calling out
sono?
that
Sì,
you know,
sì.
these helmets, they wasn't really part of like let's say the wealth that would
Nel
be
pieno del
attributed to
Renaissance.
these units really is calling for better facial protection and these iconic helmets that are quite, let's say, unique to the German.
No, no, ragazzi,
fashion,
sono truppe imperiali
facial
tedesche
devices
queste.
and whatnot.
I've seen people trying to work
Non
out, especially in that top
non
right
sono
one, the
soldati
calves as well.
dell'ordine
And I
teutonico.
know you called out the calves, but for me it's the split between the
È un'altra
left
cosa
and
quello.
Yes, yeah.
That's a little an animation consideration rather than, but yes.
Yeah.
And and also there's obviously
Eh sì,
QR code on
Marcus,
screen, so do
esatto.
please.
Yeah, I believe that post is now live.
Fantastic. So yeah, so do follow that QR code, not just
L'ordine teutonico in
see the
teoria
post
non ha la
that
cosina
details,
gialla.
approach to rosters, but also just to join the community.
L'ordine teutonico
I think
di
these
base
Constafflers are a good
dovrebbe
example
essere
for
bianco crociato
when
di
you as
giallo e
another
nero.
appunto.
capture territory. Let's say you
però ci manca il
you
bianco qua.
capture parts of the HRE. You know, that's really where you get some of the vibe of the local fashion across, where one of the things we're really keen on is pronouncing regional fashion differences in armor. There's a great video by a YouTube channel, Lorica Design, I think it's called, really highlighting like the fashion differences between Italian and German styles, and this is a great.
And that's what I love about this approach, because it's the replayability value as well. When you're playing maybe the same faction, you take it.
Mi piace questa cura nei dettagli di cui parlano, seppure è pur sempre concettuale. Però se la strada che vogliono percorrere è questa, potrebbe soddisfare l'appetito di tanti.
In the chat as well, saying that they'll
Basta
have a
che
think about
basta che non si
consultability about
concentrino
the
sui
accuracy,
dettagli e
but
poi il
they thought
gameplay
it
non
looked
fa
great
schifo.
there.
Quindi.
Are we ready to show our third
Yep.
unit? So this is the last
Sì,
one we have
sì.
for the stream, and then we've got a
Cioè.
couple of other little bits.
Yep.
It's an iconic unit.
Yeah, I mean, it's of course, you know, the Imperial Knights of the
Questi
Empire.
qua sono le cose, Imperial Knights,
Questi
i
sono,
cavalieri
esatto,
imperiali.
i cavalieri imperiali teutonici.
Finally recruiting. It's a little bit more elaborate in that forum post that
Con
these
delle
units
full
are really
plate.
having different equipment upgrades through the centuries that evolve the unit. You're looking here at a more later era version of the Imperial Knights, showcasing some of the things that I talked about, like the iconic armor fashion within the German region, with the Kastenbrust, which was more pronounced on the left, and then after Toby's feedback, we built in a lot more variation, some of the more slimmer designs with these sort of these rifts.
Immaginare combattere d'estate con queste maglie rinforzate,
contours,
non è facile.
Downwards one. So, and I would expect that the heavy knights from the different geographies would really carry a lot of that regional fashion. And our goal is that they would look very different from heavy Italian knights, for example, or Iberian knights.
Something you mentioned, accuracy, something that's worth calling out as well. In the forum posts, we cover a little bit our approach. So how do we actually conduct the research? What are our we list some sources.
Sarei curioso di vedere le armature italiane.
So much like the Building Medieval 3 streams, if you want to get involved and talk more about what you've seen here.
Che secondo me sono le più belle in assoluto.
I think Life, you've written up a very long post detailing
exactly. And if you're curious, how did we arrive at these designs?
Allora Giovanni, come leggi queste immagini? Praticamente stanno spiegando che le truppe possono essere upgradate nel loro vestiario, nelle loro armature nel corso del tempo, quindi sostanzialmente è la stessa truppa, ok, che però evolvendosi cambia nei particolari dell'abbigliamento, in questo caso dell'equipaggiamento.
And of course, if there are any, let's say, cultural iconic formations that people definitely want to see, it's great to feedback on in the forums.
For sure.
So I think we're going to be moving on to questions now. There's one question I can see from the community, which was how many of the team working on Medieval 3 are very familiar with Medieval 2 and understand, why it's still considered so great?
I think we talked about this in the first stream, right? That a lot of our team are, let's say, big fans of the old games.
Non penso che una 5080 prenda fuoco, anche perché se così fosse Sportaco dovrei cambiarla anch'io, perché è la stessa scheda video.
Of Med 2 and some other historical games, of course, and a lot of let's say hobby historians. I think we mentioned this before as well. Like I named up Oscar. He's definitely like really invested into the era. Luke, of course, and a lot of others.
We have fans of Med 2 that played Med 2.
I think
before joining us. As well.
You joined me on my famous Let's Play where we failed the Crusade on the last.
Allora,
okay, so we're move on to
Davide, scusami, da che anno inizia il gioco? Dovrebbe essere, se non ricordo male, il 1140. Se non ricordo male, almeno da quello che avevano detto negli scorsi dev.
We said we're going to give you in development rough footage.
Doesn't get rougher than
this. We live up to our promises. So this is already, even since the last stream, right? The progress.
This is hot off the press from yesterday. So you're seeing the iteration 0 of carried ladders, and it shows how early this is. But yeah, there we go. This is progress since the last stream in terms of ladders.
I like it when they start to dance.
Yeah. No, big shout out to,
ragazzi, il mock-up non è finito, cioè, so che sembra Gesù che cammina sulle acque, non stanno neanche camminando, no? Vanno per levitazione, ma
hanno detto che questi footage l'hanno registrati dal computer dei dev proprio.
Ma sì, ma certo, sono in una fase embrionale, sono ancora praticamente al grey box, cioè.
Micro and macro challenges around ladders. Starting from the animation connection, like how they're holding it, how they're carrying it.
Probabilmente Seafried.
How are they pathfinding whilst holding the ladder around various obstacles?
Mi viene difficile da capire che cambiano le armature a livello estetico, ma non cambiano a livello di statistiche.
And this speaks to, a common theme that you'll hear from us, and we've mentioned time and time again, that this is, yes, we've had carried ladders in Medieval 2. That's a long time ago. We are rebuilding a lot of the core features from.
Questa è la vecchia live, esatto, del 5 marzo che abbiamo seguito, tra l'altro.
No longer do, and we have to re-engineer and rework them within the context of the new engine. And these are challenging things.
They are. Well, so I'm going to fire at you then. We've got 5 questions and then we'll
attenzione, le famose 5 domande della community.
Some of these very quick.
Vediamo.
Will you be keeping the debug cam that allows you to see inside towers and keeps? Before you answer, I'll just caveat where these came from.
Yep.
we trawled through the last stream and the previous Building Medieval 3 stream. We found some of the most common questions from those. That's what I'm pitching at you guys. So, will you keep the debug camera that allows you to see inside towers and keeps, which is, I think, the camera on screen right now?
Yes. So this isn't. Yeah, the intention is that this isn't a debug camera.
Il fatto che vadano a riprendere quello del 5 marzo mi lascia intendere che secondo me oggi nuovi spezzoni di gameplay non li fanno mica vedere.
It's definitely our intent.
We showed this internally at a larger meeting a while ago, and one of our directors in franchise came up and said, "Oh, this is so cool! This reminds me of the old medieval books as a child. You know, opening it up and seeing through."
Esatto, Wolf.
This is exactly the vibe we're going for here, and ideally, visually, we could get some of that treatment where it feels like, okay, you're weaving away essentially a layer, and you look within. But yeah, the goal is to keep that view.
Yes, for sure.
Next up, I think we have a question we saw maybe once or twice. Are there any plans for naval battles?
Yes, this is definitely a topic that keeps coming up. It's something that we know that our fans are really keen to have in the game. It's something that we absolutely would like to see in Medieval 3. So it's not really a question of if, more of a question
Hanno
of
confermato le battaglie navali,
as I
ma
mentioned
ovviamente.
previously, you know, we are rebuilding.
Beh, però questa è una risposta importante, nel senso che tanti sono rimasti scottati dalla totale assenza delle battaglie navali in molti titoli.
It's the land battle gameplay, it's the campaign gameplay. So at the point when sieges, of course.
Cioè, l'ultimo gioco di Creative Assembly che ha avuto le battaglie navali è stato probabilmente Attila. Correggetemi se sbaglio, ragazzi. Che Warhammer non esistono, Three Kingdoms non esistono, in Troy, Farao, chiamatelo un po' come vuoi, non esistono.
It's looking at all of these elements, prioritizing them, seeing what kind of combination of elements can we get done in the time to the quality that we intend. So this is what all of this is about.
So a quicker answer maybe for the last three. Not that those were long.
Forse, sai che non mi ricordo se in Britannia ci fossero le battaglie navali, non mi ricordo. Passati tanti anni dall'ultima volta che ci ho giocato.
Well, it's sort of similar to Ladders a little bit, where
Ci sono le navali, Valos, se in Thrones of Britannia ci sono, è l'ultimo titolo nel quale ci sono. Non mi ricordo.
È una mancanza piuttosto grave.
Yeah, and then you might have situations where it's getting attacked on one side, how the other entities
Sai, lì si può aprire un dibattito,
engineering and animation challenge that is just takes time to work through.
Yeah, it's resolving the interaction of the entity collisions and the hard collisions of the environment, and doing that at scale with lots of entities. The tighter the gap, the trickier that is for the kind of systems to actually navigate in a way that doesn't cause blobbing or doesn't cause any of this kind of.
Allora, se Roberto dice che non c'erano, no. Cioè, Roberto è la mia enciclopedia vivente. Nonché la mia spada di Damocle, perché ogni volta che sbaglio qualcosa, lui è sempre il primo che lo nota. Grande Roby. Valos dice che c'erano. Adesso, attenzione. Qualcuno può verificare. Io non ce l'ho installato, se no lo avviavo al volo per vedere, no?
Adesso controllo io.
Battaglie navali su Thrones of Britannia. Vediamo.
Versions of it. The goal here for us is really to make sure it's not.
Attenzione, Roberto mi ha steccato. Segnatevi questa data: 30 aprile 2026, 16:24. GBP sbaglia.
Twist on the formula
that works in the context of the campaign and the armies that you feel.
River Plate in Serie B.
We have to take into account. But again, that's the beauty of pre-production. We get to experiment with these things, and see what sticks.
Fantastic. Well, thank you both so much for coming on and talking through that. I have one last question for you, which is a question I will be asking every single developer guest we have on. When will we be hearing from you next?
Bisogna aspettare giugno adesso.
Attenzione, Thomas invece sostiene. Io l'ho detto prima, per me a memoria così mi sembrava Attila, però su Thrones of Britannia io la mano sul fuoco non ce la metto perché non ci gioco da troppo tempo.
Brilliant. Well, I'm going to throw up a summary screen of everything we've just said. you'll see there's no camera here, so you two are free to skedaddle now. Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks,
on.
everyone.
Thank you.
Ok, allora io direi facciamo una breve pausa per fare un veloce recap, visto che abbiamo terminato la sezione dedicata a Medieval 3. Interessante il discorso che hanno voluto rimarcare per quanto riguarda le truppe che sono influenzate anche dalla cultura presente all'interno di un'area geografica. Questo mi rimanda un po' al sistema Aura di Divide et Impera. Tempest, tu che non sei un vero e proprio Total Warista, ma sei uno che segue l'ambiente Total War, che impressioni ti sei fatto? Mi interessa sapere da un non fan accanito che idea ti sei fatto di Medieval 3.
Ma così su due piedi, proprio, se devo essere sincero, allora è chiaro che ancora il gameplay è in fase super embrionale, l'hanno fatto vedere anche nei footage, eccetera. Però secondo me è una buona occasione per Creative Assembly di far vedere che i giochi li sa ancora fare come Cristo comanda, Medieval 3, anche perché se non sbaglio Medieval 3 sentivo che era aspettato da parecchio tempo come gameplay, correggimi se sbaglio.
Sì, è probabilmente il titolo storico più richiesto da quando è uscito Medieval 2.
Appunto, cioè è un'occasione importante che hanno. Infatti ci stanno andando anche loro, sempre vedi quando fanno anche le dichiarazioni, parlano, stanno andando sempre con i piedi di piombo su qualunque cosa che dicono. Infatti la prima cosa che hanno detto prima di iniziare la stream è detto: guardate che tutte le cose che vi facciamo vedere sono state prese dal mio computer di casa mentre montavo, cioè stanno andando coi piedi di piombo perché sanno che è un'occasione che non possono sciupare. Per ora, come hai detto tu prima, stanno prestando anche molto bene attenzione ai dettagli, si prendono il tempo che devono prendere, vediamo.
Certo. E in chat invece che idea vi siete fatti di questo ennesimo video di Creative Assembly Show and Tell per quanto riguarda Medieval 3? Perché adesso passiamo anche a Rome 2, a Warhammer 40K. Scrivetelo in chat così poi magari dopo prendiamo spunto per intavolare una discussione. Andiamo avanti perché se non erro adesso dovrebbero parlare di Rome 2.
Page is going to grow as we go through our topics, but in the meantime, as our new guest gets seated and avoids just the numerous hanging things we have from the ceiling, I'm going to ask if they're good.
Le top community questions.
Okay, let's move on to Rome 2.
Eccolo.
Welcome, Jack.
Hello.
This is
Jack.
maybe the... Oh, is the... Wow,
Adorabile
we've solved
creatura.
The TV that we've been using had audio on.
Well, I heard it was like Ducks Under. It's like TV speaking.
I can't believe we figured that out. I can't believe the audio was on. Welcome, Jack. So this is the kind of the surprise of the announcement of this stream. We've spoken before about we want to go back and update some of our historical titles. What is the aim? So I'm surprised. I guess it's you who's at least for Rome 2, if not more, heading up that initiative. What's the aim of going back and of these updates?
So, yeah, really fun. I have a new role within Creative Assembly of being the back catalogue product owner for Total War, which is very much managing all of our older historical titles, looking at opportunities with them, including, where possible, making updates.
Yeah.
The first of these is Rome 2. And here, it's the goal of having a series of free updates to the game that improve battle gameplay, campaign gameplay, doing some visual improvements as well as some bug fixing that I'm calling the Pantheon updates.
Yep.
That will come together as a nice big thing.
So this isn't going back and making a DLC, right? It's going back and it's providing...
non è un nuovo
updates, bug
No.
Yeah, definitely some bug fixing.
È una sorta di
bug fixing.
Di bug fixing, di improvement gratuiti che verranno fatti sul gioco. Quindi nulla a pagamento.
So we're refining the game that's there, right?
Free improvements.
And I think maybe the second surprise for people then is this isn't an update.
Yeah, it is multiple. So the way this is planned is that it will be a public beta that grows over time before fully releasing to everyone. So we'll start with Mars, with improvements to battle gameplay. This is covering things like making morale and flanking and terrain more important, improving the armor and damage formula.
La skin.
Bug fixes.
Yeah.
Then Venus, which is on visuals, which will include updates to campaign textures, improving the lighting, water textures in campaign, a UI reskin inspired by the painted walls of Roman villas, and then finally Jupiter, which is chief of the Roman gods. So it's the campaign gameplay. So big improvements there. Big focus is on making the gameplay systems remain relevant throughout the game. So we know Rome 2 multiplayer seat is quite easy after the initial 30-40 turns. So here it's about making sure that public order remains relevant throughout, replenishment remains relevant throughout, and that there's a greater sense of progression and challenge going forward. So improving building trees, making tech trees more impactful.
Madonna, chissà i modder lo smadonnamento.
And the aim is that we'll start with Mars as a public beta.
Infatti è quello che stavo pensando.
Venus will get added to it.
Ho già parlato con un paio di modder, sono sconvolti.
For everyone as the Pantheon.
Jack, you're a very lovely, soft-spoken man. I'm not,
Right,
so you may have to speak a little louder, just to match my level of constant noise. So I've got two questions before we move. We're going to show some stuff, right? But how are you approaching mods? That's maybe the number one question I've seen from the community when we announced this.
Absolutely. We know many people are playing mods on Rome 2. A lot of very popular mods out there. A lot of people get a lot of value out of them. Well aware that coming back to the game, doing these big updates is going to cause problems with mod compatibility.
Yeah.
So first off, that long public beta and a single update, it means there is one occasion where the mods are being broken for everyone, because it will be big data changes.
Yeah.
But also that longer beta means more time as well for modders who are still active
molto intelligente
to get
come
hold
scelta.
of changes ahead of time, start preparing their mods to be updated.
No, non la rompono la Dei,
They won't be
Marcus.
updated because many modders have moved on, they're not active anymore. We're going to have a pre-Pantheon version of the game available as a beta once that update goes out. So if you've got an older mod you still want to play, go back to that older version of the game, play it for as long as you want.
So the game that exists today, you'll always be able to play.
Yeah.
But you can, if you choose, opt into or play the newer versions, and then modders who want to come and update, they have the opportunity to do so. My last question then is, what depth are we going to be able to discuss today?
So today we're going to look at a brief snippet of each of the updates, focusing mostly on Mars, then a bit of Venus, then a bit of Jupiter. But there is a lot of lovely information now.
Ci sono più distanze tra le truppe?
That is ready for people to dive into.
Sì,
Well.
fa parte
let's
dell'update
start with
Mars.
Right? So we're just going to cover a few bits from the update today, but as you've just said, on that link, you've put up is it a whole forum or a forum post? Or both?
Both. So there is now a Pantheon update section of the Rome Eras forum, where in that main one there's a long post detailing the overall purpose of the updates, like what the goal of them is, why we're returning to Rome 2, and details of each of the different updates like Mars, Venus, Jupiter, and then there's sub forums for each of the different updates of Mars, Venus, Jupiter, where there's a little summary again of what's in them, and then a more detailed post in each area.
Yeah.
Which I'll come back to, because it's sort of what we're talking about today.
Yes, so battle is quite a difficult one for us to show visually. So you've spoken about flanking, morale, fatigue, damage, armor. This one, so what we've got here is unit spacing, right?
Yeah. So
Ciao,
as part of improving battles, I wanted to look at how to improve readability as well and help with that recognition of units from a distance.
Yep.
So at the top is 3 Celtic units in the game right now. You've got Levy Freemen on the left, then Spear Warriors in the middle, Spear Nobles on the right. And the only unit you can really tell that's different is the Levy Freemen, because they're bare-chested. They stand out from distance. The Spear Warriors, the Spear Nobles, you can't really tell them apart. So what's being done with the Pantheon updates is across all different unit types, there is now sort of a basic, a standard, and elite variation in the spacing of the units. So you can see at the bottom, the Levy Freemen are very quite spaced out. They're much more varied in their spacing. The Spear Warriors are a bit mixed, and then the Spear Nobles are much more uniform in their positions. So just at a distance, you can more easily see, oh, those guys are a bit disorganised. They're probably some cheap chaff units. Oh, those guys, they're really organised. I should probably be worried about them. Just that extra bit of recognition at a distance.
Which is something we see in more modern Total War titles, right?
And also older ones as well, right? That was something that was in the original Rome, whereas here it wasn't in Rome 2.
E beh, Petrenko, è ovvio che sono iniziati i meme su quelle di prima, cioè.
Now bringing it into the main game.
Ne ho già in mente anch'io un paio.
Yes, this is going to get
for those of you who love
slightly
charts.
Technical. So, armor and damage. How it works right now.
Questo è importante, ragazzi, è perché cambia completamente il combat system delle unità.
Change. As your melee defense goes up, chance of anyone hitting you goes down linearly.
Adesso è più lineare la curva.
It sort of curves and tails off a bit, because there's 2 aspects to damage and armor. You've got base damage and you've got armor piercing damage. Base damage can be negated by armor, but armor piercing damage can't.
Yeah.
But the way armor negates damage is that you take the unit's damage armor value, so say it's got 60, and you do a dice roll between 0 and 60. And then whatever that value is, because it could be 0, it could be 60, it could be 12, it could be 38. You take that away from base damage. So sometimes
Questo impatterà tantissimo sul damage anche del tiro, eh.
None. So it's quite varied. But then armor piercing damage doesn't get affected by armor at all. So there's always some base amount always going through. And that means you end up with that chart that, like, towards the end, as you get more and more armor, it's just getting a much greater range of what the armor is doing. So it's just not as nice and consistent that better armor gives you better protection.
I mean, the top chart looks more like a corrupt tax bracket rather than something understandable. So I guess we spoke about how hard it is to visualize battle changes, right? But I guess the vibe you're going for is that battles feel more authentically understandable. You've got more armor, you're going to take less damage.
Cioè, non me la potevano fare prima che iniziassi la campagna coi lugi questa cosa?
The systems underlying it actually is predictable as understandable.
Ci sto smadonnando da un
We always
mese.
have to
io.
have some randomness in our battles, just because, you know, one thing we've always tried to do is, you know, like, even the basic peasant has a chance maybe to kill a king. So we allow a bit of randomness for that, but we want it to be predictable randomness, as it were.
Yeah.
So with the changes, it's twofold. So armor is no longer a straight numerical reduction to damage.
Sorry, just what are the axes here?
Oh, sorry. So down the left axis, I can't remember which is the X and the Y. I should know that, but I don't. The left axis is average damage done, and on the right is armor value. So you can see that as the armor goes up, it's a linear decrease in the after.
Oh, yeah.
It's not exactly linear because this is based on 10 simulated damage rolls.
Right.
So there's a bit of randomness in damage
yeah,
rolls. But if it was like, if you did enough rolls,
It
would be
perfect.
perfectly linear.
Certo.
So what we've done is armor is now a modifier to damage. So let's take that 60 armor unit, right? Instead of it being a roll between 0 and 60, it rolls between half the armor and the full armor, so between 30 and 60. It then converts it into a multiplier to damage. So you roll the full 60, you're doing a 60% reduction to the base damage you're taking. If you roll 30, it's a 30% reduction. Nice and simple. So that means you get a nice linear increase, makes damage more relevant.
Yep.
Armor piercing damage
Impatta tanto questo, eh.
is also now affected by armor. So same thing, armor becomes a modifier, but here it's half the impact it has on regular base damage. So you get that 60% reduction to your base damage, it's only a 30% reduction to your armor piercing damage. So again, armor piercing still got a lot of use. And a lot of these values will also be
perché
possible for the
a
modest
40 di
effect
armatura
database, like
prima
what is the
prendevi
max
tutto
reduction armor can
di
have
così
on
poco danno.
damage. There's still a base damage value in there just to allow for those
Questo
situations.
in termini pratici va ad impattare
There's also some
tantissimo
changes to
sulla
the
durata
full
delle
positions list
battaglie,
of the
sostanzialmente.
critical hit system for your
Infatti è il
friends.
motivo per il quale, ad esempio,
So
uno
it just
scontro
allows
su
for
Rom
that
2
chance of, like,
dura molto di
random
più rispetto ad uno
that kind of
scontro su
stuff.
Total
Even
Warattila.
from the first volley, you're seeing regular soldiers dying, and there's more predictable patterns of rate of casualty.
And I
Anche
think that's where we're
perché
seeing some of the
i
it's not
due
content,
grafici
but some
sono
of the stuff coming
praticamente
in that's,
dopo è un
like
pochino più traslato verso
beloved
l'alto,
or-
quindi
or
in generale
favorite
dovresti
features
prendere
from
più
modern
danno
titles being
adesso.
Sì.
put into Rome 2 through stuff like that.
Yeah, because I think the important point to make as well is that the who's working on the updates is me. It is a team of one. So Rome 2 has
È l'unica, ragazzi, persona che sta lavorando a questo update.
Certain select changes, so critical hits from thrones.
Yeah.
Some of the bug fixes we're doing in battles are taken from
Poi vi
Attila.
dico
With the visuals you see stuff taken from other games. It
As we
really-
will see momentarily.
come si dice,
yeah, so it really maximizes
una curiosità.
the impact I can have as a single developer.
So, are there any other changes you'd want to talk about before we wrap up Mars and we give a sneak peek of what the other two updates could look like?
Just to say that the real focus on Mars is about increasing the importance of tactics, terrain, and flanking, making it so
E
that
purtroppo è bassa la loro live,
you
Bruno.
might see in titles like Shogun 2 or Attila or 3.
Io ce l'ho al massimo,
And those of you who,
letteralmente.
I think for me, the most I'm looking forward to, and we'll do another deep dive at some point in the future where we go through these more. But for me, flanking, I think, is the big one. When we did the Rome 2 stream and I flanked and Pav went, that does nothing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, why have I all this work?
Sì,
So
è l'unico
it's
che ci
gonna
sta
be
lavorando.
For me, when I've read through the updates, because obviously we shared this already with some experienced players and we got their feedback on it. They seemed very receptive.
Devo aspettare che
So
termini
thank you
la
to everyone who
parentesi
participated in
su
that.
Rom 2 per poi
For me,
dirvi
I
delle
think
cose
it's
perché
stuff
prima non
that
ve le
things
posso
that I
dire.
thought worked or were happening now will happen and now will work, which is fantastic.
I mean, to be fully honest, a lot of these are changes that I made in Emperor Edition that I'm now reverting or changing in different ways. So like,
It's time and learning.
It's time and learning. It's refining it and making it a better game.
So when are we next going to hear about Mars?
So Mars, there will be posts on the forums over the coming months going into details in various areas. So one already on the armor and damage changes.
Federico,
Next,
in verticale hai il danno e in orizzontale
Yeah,
hai il valore di armatura.
On stream, probably June, we're looking at. Things are going to be flexible in timing.
Brilliant. We're going to have a very sneak peek at Venus then, but I will say next time we bring on a chart, I will make sure I don't crop out the axes. Okay, so this is Venus, and this is a taste of some of the visual improvements?
Yeah, so Venus, its main visual improvements are the UI reskin.
Secondo aggiornamento è grafico.
And the campaign, textures, lighting, and the seas as well. So, when we go back to before,
le luci.
you will see how Rome 2 is now.
pochino più
Well, certainly some
più
aspects
lavorate.
work quite well, despite its age, but there's other bits like the water doesn't look great nowadays, some of the textures
Ci
don't
sta.
look great. With the lighting, the settlements, the characters can blend in a bit more. And now, brand new sea texture, redone sea colour, brought back better textures from Troy and Pharaoh to the game, because we've got those lovely games to take advantage of. And I will note, they're the same resolution of textures, so they won't have any performance impact. The lighting's been changed just to give a more consistent feel, better contrast.
Helps the city stand out as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the big ones. Like, one of the things that I like to do is look at the game in grayscale.
Sì, è la seconda parte dell'aggiornamento che vogliono fare.
Sure, the UI, this is without UI, so you can have UI labels, highlighting things, but you still want the characters and the armies and the settlements to stand out even without that going on. No, especially when I think we go from the after to the before, you can really see the difference.
Fade, and that not adding that fade really helps emphasize the difference,
it's
especially in the lighting. Any second.
Yeah, this is the awkward wait.
There we go.
Yeah, you can see the difference.
All right, so we've got, I think, about 5 minutes to talk through two more bits. So we're going to give a little preview of Jupiter.
Yes.
Jupiter's, it looks to be quite expansive on the campaign side.
Oh.
So even now we've got, we're not going to go too deep into these,
questa è
but we'll
grossa.
explain like the philosophy behind them of two building trees, which up until today I've been calling tech trees, and Jack has increasingly been patient with me. I've just said it over and over again.
So, building trees. The aim here is sort of basically going, Emperor Edition made some key changes to building trees, where prior to Emperor Edition, temples could only
Cambia la catena di costruzione.
Sì, è
Hanno
totalmente.
subordinato ad esempio il practice field, che prima era un edificio a parte, direttamente subordinato ai campi di Marte.
Currently, Rome 2, you have separate chains for
Quindi adesso devi fare solamente i campi di Marte e poter fare tutto il resto.
But it does mean that you need to choose.
Sì, però è mutually exclusive, quindi questo cambia, Cioè ti devi specializzare di più.
Perché prima potevi fare Fields of Mars e Practice Field separati, no?
Esatto, quindi potevi fare due edifici.
Sì, adesso ne vuoi fare solo uno, un pochino più complicata la situazione.
Important thing that Barracks will do from now on is they will not just give you units, they'll give you recruitment slots.
Queste sono delle modifiche che sicuramente vanno ad interessare di più chi gioca vanilla, perché sostanzialmente se giochi moddato le catene di costruzione spesso sono differenti rispetto a quelle del vanilla.
Navy caps increases from Imperium are moving on to the building tree. So you want more armies?
Invece ha senso Alessandro, perché sul combat system in vanilla, se non ci pensano loro, che ci deve pensare? Il multiplayer in fatto di battaglie, ed è ancora tantissimo, è molto giocato. Cioè ragazzi, se pensate che 2 mesi fa Rome 2 online aveva gli stessi giocatori di Europa Universalis 5, cioè a distanza di 12 anni.
So it'll still give you your increased army cap, it'll still give you increased recruitment slots.
Ed è tutto gratis, nel senso.
But then...
Dom, our TV's going to turn off.
No.
Keep going. Not that one, not that one. That one.
That one. And then, so the practice field will then give experience bonus to units, and it will give you champions, because this is where champion caps increase.
Yeah.
And then further, you can choose to specialize into bonuses in different unit types. So range for ranged units, the horse corral for cavalry, and the practice castrum for melee infantry units. So that has decreased slightly in the variations, but want to give it like clearly range,
Ciao Giuseppe.
cavalry, infantry bonus.
Allora, si è parlato
So
inizialmente
we'll
di
look at
Medieval
one
3,
more
adesso
please,
agli
and then,
aggiornamenti che
I
daranno
have seen some
gratuitamente a
questions.
Rome
I don't know if you
2.
have an answer. I've seen quite a few questions asking about 64-bit.
Unfortunately not on the table. Like we noticed one people
Hanno cambiato
are
le costruzioni anche qua.
looking for would like, especially people who use mods where they're making more use of video memory, but it's not part of these updates.
That's good to know. So what are we looking at here?
So this is one where combined and then split. So in the base game of Rome 2 when it launched there was this city center
Hanno
chain.
dedicato tutta la roba adesso al mercato,
both
mentre
trade
un'altra al
income
public
and
forum,
public
diverso
order
da prima.
entertainment and research and slaves in one.
Yeah.
And then for Emperor Edition we said we added a town center chain for minor settlements that gave some trade income and some public order and some entertainment, but they're both doing variations the same, and also that's a lot of different things for the city center chain to do. So here it's combining and then splitting, so there is now a public forum chain and a market chain that are available in both major and minor settlements. So big change is that generally major minor settlements, they can build the same thing now.
Yeah.
Different number of slots but same options. So the forum chain is all about entertainment, public order. So that top two ones, you've got one auditorium and an Odeon. Then it splits into one chain that specializes a bit more in income, one that specializes a bit more in public order. And this is the kind of branches you're going to see more, where bonuses remain throughout, but later branches sort of specialize in one or the other, and you're making that choice.
Marcus,
Then you've still got the
sono
library
d'accordo
chain
con
as part
te.
of this, which gives you
Ma se ci
research
sono le
and
comunità
gives you dignitaries,
online
that's where you can
e non che giocano a
dignitaries
Medieval 2, Total War Rome rimane sempre un
Separately, there's
royale.
a
Io sono
market
d'accordo
chain,
con te,
which
Matteo.
then splits into three. So you've got
Con me
wine
sfondi una
trader,
porta
which will
aperta.
acquire the wine resource and give you a lot of money.
E sono d'accordo anche
Like
con quello che
consumer
dice
food, not
Shiktla.
to that yet. Then you've got the delicatessen chain that will give you a little bit of food but a lot less income, and it's probably where spies will come from for the Romans.
Yeah.
And then
E
finally
poi
you've
vi
got
dico
slave
un'altra
trading, which
cosa,
gives you
non
slave
posso dirvela prima.
income and keep the regular
Non so se
food
magari lo
income
dicono loro,
branch as well. So
però.
it's all that, like clearer options, clearer focus,
Yep.
more depth to the chains as well.
And that's just a taste. So these last sets were just a more of a preview of some of the stuff.
Yeah.
But once we've got Mars out, then we'll come back to Venus, back to Jupiter. We'll come talk to you more. But we wanted to give you guys a taste of just the level of depth and detail that we're going into for all of these systems.
Like with Jupiter, if you go on the forums now, all the other building chains the Romans are on there already.
Fantastic. Well then, Jack, when will we hear from you next?
So next will be on the forums with more posts in the run-up to in the coming months.
Tanto che in giugno torneranno a far vedere un pochino come cambiano le cose in Marte.
Yeah.
We want to. It's going to be playing it by ear because a lot of it is work being done by me, so it's taking when stuff is ready. But we're looking at a live stream in June to show Mars and hopefully battle gameplay live.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to throw up the summary then, hopefully. Thank you very much for coming on, Jack. Really appreciate your time. Everyone loved your suit.
Allora, breve pausa
You
perché
are free to
vi do
disappear
un
and,
attimino
you can shake the
due,
mouse on that PC.
come si
We will
dice,
move on for the next guest.
due news. Ecco, allora, quello che è stato mostrato per quanto riguarda Rome 2 non è tutto il pacchetto di, diciamo, di improvement e di modifiche che vogliono apportare, ce ne sono altre che, come vi ha detto, verranno annunciate poi. Questo è un progetto che ha coinvolto anche dei content creator e dei giocatori, un ristrettissimo gruppo di giocatori, siamo circa tra giocatori e content creator, credo che siamo una decina in tutto il mondo. Noi siamo stati contattati direttamente da Josh tempo fa per partecipare a questo progetto di Creative Assembly, atto proprio ad andare a aggiungere, migliorare, modificare dei titoli già usciti, quindi dei titoli, chiamiamoli vecchi, anche se vecchio forse non è l'aggettivo corretto perché è un evergreen Rome 2, e hanno chiesto direttamente ad ognuno di noi determinati feedback, che cosa secondo noi andava modificato, che cosa andava toccato, tutto ovviamente vincolato dalla possibilità dell'engine di gioco e dal fatto che comunque c'è una sola persona a lavorare dietro questo progetto, quindi non è che gli si può chiedere qualsiasi cosa. Io come tanti altri ho avuto il piacere di parlare e di discutere riguardo a questo genere di cose con persone del calibro di Pixelated Apollo, ma di Terminator, di tanti altri mostri sacri del mondo dei Total War. E una cosa che mi ha fatto veramente piacere e che ho anche chiesto, perché paragonati a content creator di quel calibro, gente che ha più di 200, 300, 400, mezzo milione di iscritti, noi siamo probabilmente un granellino di sabbia. E la risposta che mi è stata data da Creative Assembly, che mi ha fatto sorridere, è stata che a loro non interessa solamente quanto una persona sia, tra virgolette, popolare sui social, ma danno peso alla competenza e alla conoscenza dei giochi. E qua il dictator è preso ed è volato sopra altri lidi. Quindi farò magari un video dettagliato dove vi parlo di questa cosa in relativa a Rome 2. Andiamo avanti perché adesso arriva la ciccia, arriva il gran finale di Total War Warhammer 3 con tante novità.
You're sitting there, I think, and you're sitting there. So on the screen now, you can see everything we've spoken about so far on stream.
Grazie, Luke.
I'm right with where I just told you to sit because I can't move these names. Okay, we all good? Right. Let's say hello. Hey, I was right. Hello, welcome. Welcome to the stream. Let me get rid of that bit of
Qua ci
paper.
voleva Samurai Warrior, ma purtroppo oggi a quest'ora è al lavoro.
I mean, we've only done 3 streams of it, so you know, good. For anyone who doesn't know who you guys are, maybe Rich, you starting. Who are you and what do you do for Warhammer 3?
I've been here a while. I'm the game director for Total War Warhammer.
Yep.
Working on the series for the last.
Poi vi racconto un altro aneddoto,
Yeah.
molto
And
funny.
I'm the associate design director. I've been on the series for a meager 8 years.
Oh,
Embarrassing.
pathetic.
Embarrassing. Apologies.
So we have 3 sections within this section. I did initially try and see if I could get it on that bottom bar, but it was that is graphic designed by me, so that is the height of what
Comunque non so se avete notato, ma gli hanno tolto il tavolino che c'era lì nello studio, visto che tanto non lo usavano perché i bicchieri li appoggiavano da tutte le parti tranne che sul tavolino.
And I'm so consciously not trying to say the name of the person that will be revealed as part of that. Person, place or thing.
Very good.
Thank you. I'm doing my best. So we're going to start talking about campaign.
No, è orribile il salottino. Però vabbè ragazzi, cioè nel senso, non è una puntata di pomeriggio 5, cioè.
Prima lì si è spenta la televisione dietro.
Ma magari hanno le slide. O ha sbagliato qualcuno al posto di premere il tastino per far partire la slide e gli ha spento il televisore, cioè. Grazie Kranos.
So we've tried to, we know that a lot of these things, so we'll be doing it again with the Siege update next. A lot of these things the community we've explained a lot what we're doing while we're doing it. We want to start giving you guys some dates and update numbers at least to be able to expect this in. So 8.1 is the aim for this.
That's right.
The key change I wrote, and that's the first time you're seeing it, which was me writing it based on notes. So AI priorities, which have I misspelled?
Yeah.
Slightly.
Well, I can explain.
Go for it.
So basically, over the course of the campaign,
Yeah.
we've now got the controls now to better ask the AI where to spend.
Vero,
its
Thomas.
focus. So in those longer campaigns, getting them to change up and prioritize other actions rather than sitting and messing around.
Okay, so that's like the clumping.
Yeah.
So in theory, they'll be slightly less defensive as time goes on.
That's right. That's the idea.
But defensive at first.
It's all dynamic. I mean, we've always had personalities which sort of indicate what different factions want to do.
Yeah.
But that makes total sense and looks great in the early game, and it all comes together nicely. And then over time, you might see that the decision making that made total sense earlier on, no longer because of the sheer number of enemies or the number of forces that they've got, or lots of factors, then starts to go, that looks a bit strange to us. And there's been some tweaks to make it a bit more flexible.
Fantastic. Anything else we want to say about campaign, or I'll move on to...
So you can go to the next one.
Comunque quelli che lavorano a Warhammer, cioè A livello di immagine sono le persone più normali che lavorano in Creative Assembly, va detto. Quello di prima, turchesino. Quell'altro, sciarpina.
Something.
Torri d'assedio.
And so for people to help understand that, 8 will be, so we update the number with a version, right?
That's
so
right.
With a release. So 8 would be Bhashiva, and 9 would be
Lord of the End Times.
Yes. So this will come the patch after Lord of the End Times, the campaign update coming the patch after Bhashiva.
That's right.
So on screen I've just got some ladders. Thrown some huge ladders up there.
It's great bringing those back. I mean, well, I say bringing them back. It's kind of new for Warhammer. To me, it feels like bringing them back because experienced them in past Total War games that I've worked on. So they're going to be joining the fray for players to make use of. Yeah. Removing pocket ladders as the default setting, because we know they're not for everybody. Yeah. But the people that do like them, they're still going to be an option setting, so you can still have them in the game. So really down to you, what your preference is and how you want to make use of sieging with ladders.
Fantastic. Sorry, I'm so easily distracted. Are there any other changes since the beta that people should be aware of?
There's a whole host of stuff going in. And like me and Sean were saying earlier, we've been spending the time.
Tra l'altro sono enormi, perché poi le mura su Warhammer sono enormi. Da notare la comparison delle dimensioni con il soldato.
We'd love to play around with, and the betas obviously helped us look at some of that, and we've got some other ideas of our own. But we've been specifically focusing on gate improvements, like the damage dealt to them, making it feel like a solid thing to defend. Looking at towers and the damage output. We've been looking at things like siege attacker trait, which characters, creatures should have that, making sure that hordes are well supported. Yeah. Loads of bits and bobs.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that may not make it as well because it's cutting room floor style of we are trying things out. We want to try and push the boat out. I think we've said this before when we tried to do our larger reworks. Trying to make something that's objectively better for everyone is a bar that is hard to cross every time, and that's why it can take.
Cambia radicalmente l'approccio di assedio comunque.
There's lots of things that we're looking at as well that may not make it in. I don't know whether to talk about some of them, but we've spoke about.
Io non sono un giocatore di Warhammer, ma non c'erano le scale prima.
Prima potenzialmente tutti potevano scalare tutto.
Needs to go, well, if we want to do that, what's the technical cost of that? The way our walls are built was never built with that in mind.
No.
So it's a technical update. It's a what were the implications of that being?
Ma non ho capito, se l'ha detto non l'ho sentito. Ma queste torri d'assedio vanno a rimpiazzare il sistema di siege di prima o è un add-on?
Do we go ahead with this and actually commit to it and resolve those issues? Is it worth doing? Because the fantasy
non ha detto nulla al riguardo, cioè io non ho capito nulla. Io credo che sarà la nuova meccanica di gioco a questo punto.
Sì, è quello che
penso
anch'io.
Cioè mixare entrambi i sistemi non avrebbe alcun senso.
E qua mi servirebbe Samurai Warrior perché è lui la mia metà che segue i fantasy. Il volto scuro dietro Clan Legge Italica dedicato al fantasy è Samurai Warrior.
Like all things in the game, we always want to try and amend and improve.
Sì, beh, effettivamente Bruno, un demone non è che ha bisogno di una scala per salire, cioè ci sta.
There's any opportunity to turn up the audio a little bit, even on the mixing decks. Thank you. All right, so let's hope these all keep swiping nicely. There we go. So we're back. Logo at the top.
There we go.
So this is what we talk about Bhashiva. I'm going to give a little bit of a caveat before we go there because I think the content from here on out for the rest of this.
In che senso il mio vassallo, Cigno?
It's a lot more video-y.
Samurai non è un mio vassallo, Samurai è un pilastro fondatore di questa community.
The ability all Tiger Warriors get.
Sua eccellenza.
Sua eccellenza.
In a vacuum, and it may be that there's a particular ability or skill that will need further context. For the players to really understand the value of it or the usage of it that we will try and give here.
Tra un po' anche l'ingegner Tempest.
Do that for absolutely everything. There's only so much time on the stream.
Si spera.
Anche se in due branche diverse.
Everything you see here is subject to change.
Mussini dov'è?
Che branca è?
Lui ha fatto ingegneria meccanica, mi sembra. O meccanico o biomedica? Meccanica.
So everything has layers.
Però sicuro non ha fatto aerospaziale.
Uno fa motori, l'altro fa missili termobarici.
Esatto. Dobbiamo conquistare il mondo, no?
So, shall we show Bhashiva?
Go on then.
I hope. I hope this is the button I'm going to
Dai,
press. Actually,
Josh,
the
per
next one I'm going to
favore,
show
ma
is
le
Ferocious.
slide,
I
Cribio.
want to talk about it first. I think we've teased them if we don't show
Well,
Bhashiva
I
now.
feel like you.
Let's show Bhashiva and then we'll go back one. All right.
Yeah.
So there we go. That video is just starting from any point it wants, doesn't it? It will loop. So this is Bhashiva in battle. It will do some live at the end. A really cool set of animations for Bhashiva.
Yeah, she's brilliant. She's brilliant. This has been such a,
È un lupo, che cos'è?
I guess, a pipe dream to have a character like her join the fray, come into the game, and you know she looks awesome. She's.
La
we'll talk
tigre
about some of her
bianca.
abilities and stuff later on, but just to give you a bit of a background on like who she is, she is the White Tiger. So that's a position held to both protect
Ecco, per commentare ci
and
vorrebbe
command
Samurai
the
Dick.
Tiger Warriors.
Yeah.
In great times of peril.
No, sto guardando che
when
comparato a
chaos,
quelli è veramente un
looms large
gigante
again.
enorme. Cioè,
She's also a mercenary lord. So she's
No,
one of
poi
the
con
lords
una
of
mossa ne atterra
Shenyang
3 miliardi.
and one of Zhao Ming's.
ma cosa sono
finest
goblin quei
commanders.
cosi lì?
So she's got her own tiger
sono
company,
goblin.
which you'll see with some of the units in the pack.
Yeah.
Sì.
But she intersperses that with other Cathayan.
Non avevo visto le orecchie,
adesso
adesso le vedo.
Protecting caravans along the Ivory Road. And
Scusate, è un furry.
Grand Cathay.
Sembra
esatto.
So we'll
effettivamente.
go through some of the abilities, both
Ma vedi che arriva il bro con la testa,
got some of the
con la
stats
testa da
on screen.
panda, quell'altro con la
How would
testa
it
da
feel
cavallo.
to
Cioè,
use Bhashiva in battle, then? What's the playstyle there?
certo che
So
questo
her
quando legna vedi i
specifically is all
goblin che
about going
partono.
after small entity units.
Tra l'altro, The White
She's
Tiger
quick,
non vedi un
she's
film.
nimble, she's
Gnoblar,
fast,
sì, vabbè,
she likes
Gnoblar
to
so
stalk the prey.
comunque quelle robe lì
So,
Gnoblar io
yeah,
li chiamo
she-
perché sono
you might-
insignificanti.
I don't think it's in
È arrivato Crambi,
She's
guardalo
also
lì
got
sulla
this
sinistra che
amazing
scorazza in
ability to
mezzo agli
teleport around the
Gnoblar.
battlefield with her Heaven's Gate.
Yeah.
And so when she reappears, she strikes and damages everybody around her, but she's super useful for obviously jumping into the fray, but also when she's in a tight spot, getting out of it too.
Yep. And we'll see some of those abilities. This was a far longer video than I remembered.
Yeah.
This is a really nice video because I didn't record this
Sembra
one.
veramente.
This is one of the few I didn't record. That's why it's a much
già.
nicer quality than what we'll get into. So we can see on the abilities on the side there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Ferocious Ambush.
Chiedo umilmente perdono agli amanti di Warhammer.
I've got it on its own in the next
Right.
section for us to talk about.
Okay.
So we can very quickly talk about Ferocious Ambush as just an expectation of that's what the Tiger Warriors will have. So what is Ferocious Ambush? What's the intent behind the ability?
I mean, the fantasy around all these characters is about that big cat field, stalking.
Imboscata
stalking
feroce,
prey,
abilità passiva.
Getting in, roughing people up.
Yeah.
So it's
5
very much
più
giving
5
them
di
kind of that
charge,
Vanguard
devastating
deployment speed, charge
flanker.
rate, all those kind of different things.
Durata
Sorry,
20
not
secondi.
Vanguard on this one, but
E non
the-
sono pochi
but-
20
but-
secondi.
Yeah, that kind of idea and identity to her and her.
Yeah, I think the big thing about tigers, or the literally big thing about tigers, is
Yeah.
they are much bigger than people. You know, like a full head taller
They
than a human. So we really wanted that impact of them on the charge to feel like you've been hit by a 9-foot big cat.
Yeah.
So you know the idea of Ferocious Ambush does lean into that. It increases their speed, increases their charge bonus, and gives them devastating flanker to push that charge bonus even further.
Yeah.
On a cooldown for balance reasons and all
Yeah.
these things. But it is really to capture that idea that when the tigers charge in, it's a noticeable impact.
Yeah.
And in the Cathay roster, which is much more rank and file, with the humans that the Jade Warriors and the Celestial Guard that stand and hold the line, the tigers are charging
20
in.
secondi
they're
per una
hitting
carica
on,
non
you'll
ha
see
fatto
the
poco.
impact, and that sometimes can win a battle. If you get that on the flank,
Yeah.
you get that in the right position, that can win a flank sooner than you want.
Sì,
to,
il Fury è un
position
devastating
around
flanker.
to capture the rest of the enemies.
Sized cavalry then in a rear flank charge will do an
Yes,
absolute
slightly taller
They're
than
a bit
human-sized
bigger,
cavalry. Yeah.
horse-sized cavalry, which I guess is
No.
cavalry.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, go on.
Tier 2 and above as well.
Oh,
so,
there
yeah, there you go.
So we'll show off some of. I've got pictures of some of Bhashiva's other abilities, just so people can get an idea of how she'll play in battle. I
spada
don't
di
think any of these
Shenyang.
abilities were actually used during
La
that
lama,
clip.
sì.
So Heaven's Gate, obviously are
Yeah,
really
we saw that one.
But I think as well,
Dio,
some of
l'abilità
those were just
passiva per il
dynamic
Fury, parliamo.
animations in battle, where she is
No,
taking
bro.
my favorite is
Cioè-
to have someone
No.
comes out of the sky and slams
È colpa della
so
chat che mette in testa strane idee, cioè.
Expect to be using a lot as Bhashiva.
That's a cool
Maledetti.
item, right?
Yeah.
So that's the one you want to go.
Il
and
cancello
get,
del
and
paradiso.
That teleportation element, very cool.
Yeah, I think that's her most iconic piece of her kit.
Mettono
So
tante
I
unità
think,
tematiche
as
di
we
questo
mentioned
lord e non le
earlier,
solite 2 o
if
3
you want a
insulsi allo
quick
stile strega dei
engagement,
boschi di Kislev.
there's a caster hiding behind enemy
Seguirà
lines,
sicuramente il
you know,
video
active
dedicato fatto da Samurai Warrior,
That
perché
gives
come
a
ben
way to
sapete,
get to
ragazzi,
that
quella
caster.
branca
If Bhashiva
fantasy la
catches
segue
herself
lui
in
in
an awkward position
legitalica.
after leading the Tiger Warriors
Io
into a big charge,
sono un
and she's actually
profano.
starting to get singled out. She also has a way to remove herself from danger there.
Yeah.
So it's quite a flexible item in her kit, and is a lot of the identity built around that. Of also because of the teleportation that she has, Stalk, she can remove herself, go hidden again, and then disappear. So she's got a very powerful ability there to, like a tiger, go in, hit it.
La chat ha sempre ragione, Valos. È la voce della verità.
I would take you. I've not fought a tiger. Not for a long
You've
time,
not?
so I'll have to take your word for it.
Always fighting how many versions of you in a bear. That's the
Oh,
classic. Yeah.
I wouldn't be one version of me. So Blades of Shangyang as well.
Yeah.
Cool imbuement there, putting flammable on. Any of the other abilities? I mean, obviously the community will pour over these in their own time. But if there's anything you'd particularly want to call out,
I'm sure they will. Pour over it. But, I mean,
Esatto,
they're flammable. If people remember on a previous she has flaming attacks by default as well. So they're flammable for her is also just like another damage buff on top for her personally getting involved. But if you've got other flaming units along in the army, that flammable means that it's a damage bonus for her, but also an opportunity for you to synergize that with some flaming units at the same time. Yeah.
fantastic. Well then,
There is one more.
Oh,
fantastic.
I've just checked the notes. Hidden Huntress.
oh yeah,
So there's a
so
fifth.
hidden it didn't
There's
even
a
make it on the
fifth.
screen.
There's a fifth.
It's stalking off
Yeah,
screen.
and that is her starting ability.
Mhm.
So that's going to help with that kind of stalking stance.
Yeah.
And again provide buffs in and around that. So she's got a lot of kit.
She has
Dai,
some
raga,
fun,
basta
some
con sta
fun
storia del
hats, that's what I'm
Fury,
saying.
veramente.
We've got a lot of the stuff.
Poi
I
non
tried to
riesco ad
catch as much
essere
as I can. Someone
serio.
said, these are like they're just screenshots from in game. They are. I booted up the game and I took the screenshots. I told you guys this is going to be. We're really trying to show you what we're working on rather than the most polished version. But yes, that's a really good call out of. There's other stuff going on, but we wanted to give you guys some of the
there's more.
highlights to start talking about. Speaking of, shall we move on to the Legendary Hero Free LC?
Oh, big reveal, right?
It is.
Eccolo qua, il Free LC.
I've worked so long on this stream that just saying the names.
What's up, Beijing?
will come out
What's
naturally.
up,
So
Beijing?
I'm glad I didn't say that we have. I don't even think the name's on screen now that I've said that. Oh yeah, there we go. Taoyan the Merciless.
Yeah, there you go.
You looked at us to confirm that.
I did. I don't actually know if I've said that out loud.
Questa quando la
So we've
colpisci
got
fa
Taoyan here, so
"Oi!"
Legendary
No,
Hero
però
joining the
tra il Furry e
Yeah.
questa c'è
All
Dio
Cathay
santo.
factions can make
È il
use
magico
of
mondo di
She
Warhammer.
does have that synergy, particularly with Bhashiva and also Zhao Ming. So the
Si
background on
chiama
Taoyan is that she's an exiled warrior, and the reason why she was exiled to the Western
Oddio,
provinces
mi viene
is
in mente
that
la traduzione.
she's pretty brutal and has a bit of an
Merciless,
iron,
you could say.
yeah, in what she does. So when
Sì, sì,
rebellions
questa li addomestica.
Taoyan
rose
senza
in the
pietà.
central provinces, the way she went about doing
Cosa ho
things
sentito?
wasn't so well liked by
No,
some,
leggi la
so
chat,
she was
ci sono
exiled
cose che
out-
non posso
out to the West,
ripetere,
and now she
veramente.
is one of the lords of
Vabbè,
Shaolin,
Mi fanno morire da ridere.
Zhao Ming, and yeah, she's very cunning.
Mi piace perché poi quando
great
dopo
fighter,
parlo con
anything
Josh dico
large,
guarda
so
così
you'll see her
sondando
taking
nella
a
community
look at
italiana
her.
hanno detto questo.
First Trident wheel?
Oh,
Well,
Albrecht.
Albrecht as well.
Oh,
Right,
okay.
that's
Should
No,
have run
ragazzi,
that past
siete
his first
we're off
name.
now.
How many
Veramente
problems
sto
with that
leggendo
Trident?
la
'Cause that could be a Biden and then I could be back in. Right?
Biden, come on.
Sono
Also,
tutti arrapati in
great
chat,
anti-dodge
io non
fighting
ho
not lost
capito.
in this
Hey,
video here.
Come la fare?
actually, that's what the
C'era
video
un po' di
was. I thought
dopamine
it was
detox,
clips of ogres as well
ragazzi.
at the start.
Esatto.
I will pull out as well one of the abilities has got a very blurred name. That is because we've
No,
got the ability.
no.
that we're
Dai,
saying-
Thomas, ma veramente, ma pure te
Cioè,
ti ci metti adesso, e sei anche una persona normale, cazzo, abbiamo mangiato
so we
insieme
will
quando? Il mese
Very
scorso?
quickly show and maybe chat about some of Taoyan's abilities. one of which shall not be named. It's too merciless.
Vedere le abilità.
The blurred ability.
But I thought it was important to be on there. 'Cause that's
A proposito,
such a cool
Thomas, guarda che quest'estate lo organizziamo il bot
Tyrant's
party.
Talon, is that the weapon?
That's the weapon that
bot
she
party.
wields, yeah.
Bot party.
So again, very good at base damage.
Il raduno del clan in
piercing.
barca.
I mean, she's a ferocious fighter.
Yeah, yeah. It isn't. I can see chat saying it's censored. It's not censored.
Senza
it's just not
assolutamente.
decided fully yet. Or
Too
not
hot
locked
for
in.
Twitch TV. That's
It
it.
is. So suggest your own names.
I like
Chun-Li.
Che cosa?
Cool. Then last section we have for Bhashiva is we're going to talk about some of the Cathay tweaks.
Oh, okay, yeah. We can
So-
go with those.
I've got a video here. That's a video, but it's also just two screenshots.
queste
that
sono le
stop
skill.
every 15 seconds. So the first thing here is there's I think 3 of them that we've worked on, but I've only got 2 in the video. Only 2 were done of skill tree updates,
Yep.
refreshes.
Yep.
No, che questo è quello
Done
dell'alchimista.
a few of those.
Yeah.
So we've gone over a bunch of characters. So
Quelli di Warhammer sono
Astromancer,
tutti così arrapati,
Gate
Dick. Cioè,
Master,
Sì,
Alchemist.
sì.
Madonna.
And, yeah, variety of different things.
Soprattutto
So,
Tora. Ma veramente Thomas mi ha
on the Gate
sconvolto.
Master,
Cioè,
the
io non me lo
split,
immaginavo. Era una persona così per bene, così a
their
modo.
line. So they've got
Cioè-
a character line now based on melee
Ma è una
improvements
vergogna.
or range self
Vergognoso.
I'm trying to think. now.
Agghiaggiante quello che hanno
Oh,
detto.
I don't know if you're
Yeah.
you're close enough to see it, but
Yeah, no, I can see that. I'm just trying to reverse back to what I've put down in my notes as well.
Tora!
I do have the Alchemist.
Ma per favore, ma
They
basta.
are.
Ma-
They are. I mean, we've also changed the Sky
Ecco.
Lantern as well. So the
Oh,
Sky
yeah.
Lantern in itself.
Io
is
non
now
confermo
different.
e non
It's now much more
smentisco.
of a supportive unit, so it's there to buff and reinforce the armies around it. Kind of being that spotting thing from up on high.
Sì, esatto, Bruno.
Um,
Perché Tempest non ha
there's-
visto i
there's
fan del
lots of things that- You
40K.
should definitely talk about the tech tree.
Perché? Cosa devo
I'll wait for
sapere?
Perché
The
sono
transition.
persone abbastanza
Exactly.
animate anche loro,
And
There we
there
go.
we go.
Yeah, yeah. We redid the tech tree from scratch. It's funny when we did it. It has the exact same number of technologies and takes the
Ma
exact
hai
same
visto che ha
amount of
scritto
time,
Raimondo?
purely by chance.
Yep.
But it is from scratch. We really wanted to lean into the yin and yang of it. So each side now has a focus on the
Zonal,
yang,
sì, l'ho letta, ma anche te, non mettere gli
portion
accenti
of it
dove
as
non
it
vanno
comes to the center,
messi.
it's more harmony of effects on those central texts. And we've made a separate
sì.
military and provinces section, so it's
Da
a lot
Slanesh.
easier to navigate and find what you're looking for. One of the things that we had in our mind though is like the current tech tree's been out there for so long. We really don't want this to come across as like, a change for change's sake. So we did a really big analysis of everything that
No,
was in
no,
there
certo,
before.
Thomas, tu puoi
and,
fare tutto.
Give or take a little bit here or there. This is an objective, like it's got all the big ticket items that were there before, plus some extra fun things.
Non è vero, noi dal
It's just
40k siamo
Sì, ma
persone
lui
da
mente
We had
perché
some
Tora
issues
non è
with the
uno
old
da
tech tree
40k,
where
lui
you'd
oltre al
still be seeing
40k è
peasant
anche da
books,
Warhammer
quite like
Fantasy,
in,
quindi
which
lui
never
salta
really
un
felt
po' di
like,
palo
this
in
is
frasca a
extremely
seconda
like, I'm
della
late game
convenienza,
now, I want
diciamolo.
to see the tech tree reflect that. So now you can see as you go through the tech tree that it scales with where you're at in your campaign.
You spoke about campaign harmony or harmony. Are there any other changes to like,
Io il
harmony
Furry
traits
quando esce voglio
or
portarci una
combats?
campagna perché so già cosa può
There's
succedere.
been some stuff done that with
Oh, no.
characters.
Yep.
Glielo devo dire a Samurai, il Furry lo gioco io.
So that, yes, that has gone
Tu
on.
gioca
The other thing
quell'altra.
that we've also done as well
Cioè.
is there was feedback on Terracotta Sentinels not really having enough punch and weight behind them. So we've done an animation method data pass.
Oh,
So
wow.
so we've been changing that. So now when they're going on a charge, they should be much more impactful in like the damage output. And what else have we done? We've changed some of the units on the tierings as well. So like I think it's Long Mars
Yep.
down at tier 4 now.
Yep.
So there's been some balance changes there.
Yeah, we just want to make sure that people can get access to the cool stuff in the roster without waiting too long, while still grading the things that are the big ticket items like the Terracotta Sentinel. They deserve to be up there.
Yeah.
But there was a couple of units where if you compare them to other cultures in the game, you go, well, why does Cafe have to wait so long to see, infantry, which is like a tier 3, tier 3.5 infantry at a tier 5 spot? So
Yeah.
we've made some adjustments. We've adjusted the cost of some buildings as well, so it's not just a straight like you get it earlier for no downside. Like there's been a lot of adjustments to try and improve the flow of the experience.
Sì, esatto, gli elfi li ho già giocati, anche quelli delle foreste.
Then we're going to talk about
Ho
Questo
giocato
no,
tutti
i
gli
rituali
elfi in
sono
salsa su Warhammer.
One more
A me
thing.
piacciono gli
Don't
elfi.
forget with Bhashiva.
Cosa ti devo dire?
and the
Adesso
Tiger,
giocherò,
they
proverò
also
anche il
facilitate,
Furry.
like, the dragons as well. So make
Dobbiamo.
sure to check that out as well.
and also anyone
Fare,
who
non
wants
c'è
to skip a little
provare.
bits of lore because there's some really
Esatto.
cool some lore in those skills. Well then, Press a button. Are we ready? I'm so excited.
Guarda Sean che
about
faccia
this
compiaciuta
section.
dopo
This
che
is
gli ha
the
mostrato il
section
Fury. È
I'm
proprio
so
lì.
excited about. So
Yeah.
we've all seen on Reddit that there is a very passionate fan who's hoping that right now we're
chi è
about to
questo?
reveal a man-sized rat, and we do have something man-sized, and it is a man. So we
Circondato da
have here our
Fury.
next
Ta-da.
Lord of the End Times. Who is this?
He's the guy who I said will have his day.
And he's having his day.
He's definitely having his day.
Sì, eh?
So Boris Toddbringer,
Sì.
Elector Count of Midlands.
È circondato da Furry.
Yeah.
It looks like a new
He's
model.
here. He's finally here, but
Lui è
here
Giga
now
Chad.
to be fully playable.
Yep.
So it's really cool to get to that point from, I mean,
Furry King.
on the original Warhammer,
Yeah.
10 years later.
Sì, sì,
now
a
being in a
Miao
position
Ying li
where,
faccio
yeah,
vedere
you
io
get
chi è
a
il
new
drago.
experience, new fight with the Empire.
Yeah, like you said, he's a bit of a visual glow up as well. His I think it was like well, yeah, perfect. It was like 9 years ago they called the Beastman or something like that,
Something like
where
that.
we first brought attention to this character, and he's never had his day until now where he
No.
really stands out as
No.
the interesting guy that he is.
So I do thank everyone for bearing with us. It's been a while.
Well, we said we'd get there. So we are going to be mostly talking about battle today, as that's more in a stage that I've got videos of and that we can share. We'll have some general campaign questions, but mostly we will have battle. And I said that all of those last videos were great because they weren't filmed by me. You guys are now getting the videos I filmed. So
Brace yourselves.
Yeah.
you've seen him in his Lord selection screen, and now you get him in the battle. So Boris Toddbringer with his new model there. So where does Boris start?
Do you want to take a guess?
Somewhere in
Federico
Austria,
Barbarossa se fosse canonico.
He's not gone quite as far afield. No, he's in Midland.
Yep.
Shocker. Yeah.
Fantastic. And
Ma che cosa ha sull'elmo? Un castello?
so what's the kind of campaign atmosphere you're aiming for
Non
Boris?
capisco nemmeno io.
Well, generally, as Warhammer has gone on throughout the trilogy,
È una
and
barca,
Warhammer
cioè.
3 as well,
Sì, però
the
questo
Empire's
con un
got
fendente ne
good
lancia via
infections.
4.
It's
Tipo,
quite a
ma che roba?
dangerous
Oh.
place to be now. And
posso
our
tatuare
good friend
lui però.
Boris, he's sick of being on the defensive. He's sick of all these people walking into the Empire and acting like they own the place. So he's going on the offensive now.
I mean, in 3 seconds. There we go.
Comunque, boh, a me...
Why'd you bring attention to that?
A me le animazioni, i modelli di Warhammer
Perfect time
sono
of vengeance.
fighi,
Now he's
sono
going to take the
veramente
fight to everyone
belli,
else. So
ma le
he'll start in a
animazioni...
position where you'd expect it in Midland. And
Ma
he's
sono
gonna,
molto difficili da
where Carl
fare.
is trying to unite the Empire.
No, lo so,
Elspeth is
però...
holding off the forces of undeath. Boris is much more about taking on anyone and everyone that's in the Empire right now, and anyone that's even thinking.
È un
about
castello,
the Empire
ok,
and
grazie a
thinking of
Mangiacetrioli.
no more defensiveness. He's embodying the.
È il famoso uomo nell'Alto
Ulrich,
Castello.
the god of war, winter and wolves, and he's
È Boris,
bringing
cioè.
that war with him to all of the foes of the Empire.
In the castle, King in the castle.
Nice.
Well,
Hellman di martello
I don't have the
magro.
transition you
Una
say,
guerra
but I think
d'errore.
I know. So what we've got then, so we've got Boris, and we're also going to show off a couple of units here then. So the first unit, we've got infantry. Do you want to talk about the unit, or do you want to talk about the ability that a lot of Boris's faction will get? Your choice.
I could talk about both. We'll see
they're
what's
two
on the
different
screen.
slides.
There are
So-
two different
all right,
slides.
we'll start off with Crush. So this is Crush the Weak, and this is the ability.
So people will know that it's currently on Boris Toddbringer exclusively right now in the live game, but it's being changed slightly because it's not going to be just on Boris. It's going to be on all Ulrican units going forward. So it means it's going to have a few changes. As it stands right now, like this is very much work in progress, and all of these things will be tweaked as they go. Even that image is very much a placeholder image that we've.
Oh, the icon's a placeholder that I put over another placeholder.
Yeah. It's double placeholder
Yeah.
right now, but it is very much in progress. But the intent is, we want the Ulrican units to all feel like they've got a clear play style and flavor. Midland's a much more melee-focused empire.
Bisogna
culture,
capire
and
se
we want to make sure
parte
that those units
nell'impero
have the
o
ability
gli
to
fanno fare le razze.
succeed being this melee-focused faction.
And I think that's what's been interesting about digging into the pack.
Vero,
whereas
tipo
the
quell'altro.
Huntsmarshal came in, he brought a lot of kind of frontiers
La prima volta che ho
units,
giocato quel
And
cacchio
Boris does
di...
feel like he's bringing his own-
Come che si
his
chiama?
own
Che me lo fa
flavour there
spawnare a
of-
casa
it's
di
not just
Dio.
a
Oh,
Empire
cacchio, voglio
Plus,
provare
it does
lui.
feel like a sub-faction within. So we'll show off one
Degli
of them
elfi,
now.
mi sembra,
Go for it.
che spawna da tutt'altra parte in mezzo alle
So
lande
we have the-
desolate.
this is
Ma che
It
cazzo me
is.
l'ha fatto fare di giocare
It says it on
questo?
the screen.
It
It's the
does.
Tunisian God. So these guys
Super mago.
are, for the people listen carefully to my words, and I'm revealing nothing other than the 2 units that we are talking
Those are
about
the only
today.
units we're allowed to reveal, yeah.
Oh, come on.
So where did the Tunisian Guard come from? Well, the Knights of the White Wolf happen to have several very esteemed nobility within them, and it's based purely on merit. It's not just about station. If you are particularly good Knight of the White Wolf, you might be elevated to the honourable position of the Tunisian Guard, whose duty is to protect Al Ulrich, Emil Algar.
Yeah.
2 completely
Era Teclis,
inconsequential
mi
things that I talk
sembra.
about those guys.
Yeah.
But that's who the Tunisian Guard are. What they do in practice is they're heavily armoured AP units. So we want to push them a little bit sturdier and slightly fewer in number
giocato
than the
anche Imric,
greatswords. So
comunque.
they are on the advanced side of greatswords in terms of what they do, but a bit more generalist as well. So where greatswords have the anti-infantry, they're classic greatswords. These guys are bulkier, heavy hitting, lower entity. They're kind of like the epitome of Empire's infantry today.
Oppure potrebbe essere il cugino di Re Artù, quello della Disney, invecchiando ha perso massa.
But all of the Ulrican units that will be coming will be a bit easier for Todringer to hold off, because of course they should be.
Yeah.
He's Midland.
Yeah, right next to him.
Yeah, he's got them in the back room waiting to come out.
So we do have one other unit to show. Did these guys ever get into combat? Did it loop? I wasn't paying attention.
I was looking at you.
I'm hoping that everyone got to see them hitting people. I sat on the.
They're raring to go.
They
I
are.
recorded
They are.
for
Yeah.
much longer than I thought I did.
There we go.
I think people have seen this before, right? You've seen them hitting. I'm looking at the chat. Did anyone else see them hitting, or do I have to vamp for time just so you can see them throwing their hammers? So we will. No, they didn't see them hitting. I really
Talk
sat on
really
them
slowly.
way too long recording them in idle then. So we do have one other unit to reveal, and funnily enough, we saw a Reddit post like a week ago that was, forget all of these units. There's one unit I really hope is part of the Empire pack, and that person is going to be very happy to see.
It's the Knights Panther. Yeah, well, when we make a pack.
No ragazzi, ma guardate la tigre che c'hanno in testa.
And given that we're doing Boris Todbringer,
vi ho trovato tutti i furri sono qua, cioè.
Io
Midland,
non ho parole.
as well as Talabheim. So we thought, well, we've got to capture all the major knights.
Sì, e poi tra l'altro si chiamano Cavalieri Pantera.
These guys, you can see they've got a bit of anti-large on them already, so they've got a slightly different role from the existing knightly orders.
Forse
that are in the
perché
game
hanno
right now.
scuoiato una parterre e se la sono messi in testa.
The wrong video, because I'm pretty sure their horse armor should be blue.
The horse armor should be blue.
I was going to say that.
Ma
that
scusami, però se quella testa lì di pantera dovrebbe incutere timore.
And
Ma
then
non è
you
che
can browse.
incuta molto timore però.
Oh yeah. Do you see another one in
Mazza
there?
che carica.
Knights Panther.
blue.
If you go, if I could just stand up, I could do it.
You can
Do you
stand
think
up.
I could just run over and fix the video?
They'll never know.
Keep
They'll never know.
Keep
Yeah,
vamping.
yeah.
Yeah, so they should be
Porca
blue.
bestia che legnata che gli hanno dato.
Very blue with some gold trim.
Yeah, such is the development and progress. Every day things are progressing, and we thought, we'll get the most recent version of the Knights Panther to show off. These ones, the most recent version.
This was
Who
updated
are they?
like 2 days ago, so that's
The magic.
okay. Hopefully my bum wasn't on the stream there. So these are the Knights Panther. We're gonna have to watch them idle again as we prepare for them to charge.
You love an idol though, Josh,
I do.
so we can take our time.
I do. I sat there and I was like, about 30, 40 seconds would do. And I did not know how long 30, 40 seconds is until I've sat here in the hot seat. So yeah, we got the Knights Panther. I mean, we'll see it in a second. You've probably just seen it before. Their charge is devastating. Lovely in blue though. I could never imagine seeing him in silver.
That's weird.
Who would do that?
Yeah.
Exactly. But what do you know? What I do think that helps to emphasize
È che voglio vedere
everything
qualcosa su 40K.
Like this video I took yesterday.
Sono
To
curioso.
replace the one I took the day before.
Hanno messo una fanteria piedata anti-large con unità di
So, yeah,
cavalleria pesanti che ci
that's-
stanno, visto la
that's what we're
scarsità
trying
di
to
queste
show
unità nel
you.
roster
So everything you're
imperiale.
seeing is development progress. All of those stats could change depending on however Sean's feeling at that moment in time. But yeah, I think I'm just letting them see him fight for a little bit before we move on.
Just keep vamping.
There we go. So what we have now is technically, but not really, 3 more units. So this is we are approaching the end of our end times section, and I really like the Warhammer community rumor engines. So we thought we'd make our own.
Oh.
So if you guys are, people may know. They may be able to work out what they are. I did, after some feedback from our talk on Tuesday, I made one of them a little bit harder. I still don't think it's that difficult.
No, it's pretty obvious. I'd say. Well, there's easy, medium, and hard in there, for sure.
Yeah. I've made easy, like, slightly harder, but still...
And I think you helped with one of them earlier.
Maybe. I'm giving the game away there, aren't you?
So, if feel free to clip these, guess what you think they'll be. We will eventually come back and show you what they are. I think before we move on to our next bit, which is the thing I am most excited for in the entire stream, I'll just ask from you guys first. When are we going to hit?
Non lo so, Nico. Suppongo di sì, ma non ne sono
I know the
certo.
answer to this if you don't.
You say it and we'll say it at the same time.
Dai, Tora!
June.
So I think the plan at the moment is in
Cioè,
June.
io non so se si vede. Cioè, Tora mi manda su WhatsApp queste cose. Io non ho parole.
È mandato.
Stuff that's going to come with.
That'd be good.
You may be learning this for the first time because we're.
Mandalo su WhatsApp, giramelo.
I was fully up to date with all this.
Giro.
So at the moment,
Devo avere paura?
fantastic. At the moment, I think the plan is in June we'll come back and talk to you guys about some of the stuff coming.
Yeah, okay, cool.
La versione del 40K.
Like some of the, Devastation. I didn't know.
No, bro, cioè. No.
We'll come back and we'll talk a bit more comprehensively about some of the stuff you can expect to see there.
Ciao Moro.
I saw it in chat.
Di Rom 2 hanno parlato di alcuni improvement che verranno fatti a livello di unit balance e di graphical improvements per quanto riguarda la campagna. Giusto per sintetizzartelo all'osso, cambiamenti nelle catene di costruzioni.
However, when you load into a custom battle, you're going to see that there's 2 Boris Todbringer voice options. There's the original one, which you know and love, and then there's one more.
Toddy!
Oh, that was great, Tom, but maybe just a little bit.
Ah, il doppiatore.
Shut up, Ben!
Cioè, prendono me il sabato sera post aperitivo, lo faccio meglio.
Uguale, cioè.
At pace! None shall live! Oh, I hate Kazrak One-Eye. I know we can't. But for me, can we all just have one? It's me, Toddy! Just like this one. It never gets used.
There it is.
So there we go. That has been one of the hardest secrets to keep, but it is exciting, and they'll also, I think we've heard recently that there'll be about 2/3 of the ad-lib lines that Angori Tom gave in the recording studio, and he gave a lot. About 2/3 of them will make it into the game. Some of them just a little too hot to handle, but others will just about sneak in. So look forward to that, and that will be part coming along with Boris Todbringer. So we've got all of our information there. More in May on the Tiger Warriors. That's why it's
E ora sì, ora è il momento del 40K,
more
ragazzi.
in June on the Lords of the End Times.
40K è più moderno rispetto
we have our last game, and then we'll be doing
Sì.
the inbox. I've seen a few people
Cioè,
interested.
è proprio un'altra cosa, è proprio una roba completamente diversa.
So,
ok.
welcome. And you've perfectly sat in the positions that I prepared for.
Ma le camicie le comprano su Temu questi?
So people haven't seen you guys in a while. So Dave, we
probabilmente avranno cliccato di quelle pubblicità
Rome one. Yeah.
So welcome to the stream.
Thank you.
We'll show and tell.
It's warm in here.
It is very
Oh, it's crazy. I don't know how Rich and Sean managed that with the heavy jumpers.
And the sad thing about that video is we didn't get to say big thank you to Rich and Sean for coming on.
Quello di sinistra sembra Leo Messi invecchiato.
So, who are you guys? Dave, start with you. Who are you and what are you doing on Total Warhammer 40,000?
What are you doing? Who are you? Hiya. Yeah, so I'm David Petrie. I am the battle product owner for Total War. So basically, I look after the when and the what of the features that we're building across all of the super exciting games that we're doing. Of course, with a really big focus at the moment, as you might expect, on Total War Warhammer 40,000. So yeah. Also, massive 40k nerd, so this is this is a dream. Very, very orc-oriented is how I'd describe myself. We don't have to talk about interests or anything.
No.
Okay, all right, okay, thank God. Okay.
No,
it's orcs.
Hello, I'm Kevin. I am the art director on Warhammer 40,000. I think it's fair to say that I'm a Total War veteran. 26 years making Total War games.
You were the man who did the spin in the December video, right?
That's right. Yeah. I'm secretly behind every developer in the studio, just lurking.
Dramatic Kev.
Yeah, exactly.
So the first question I had is a more broad one of how's development going?
Ma che scarpe ha su quello lì?
Throw that out to the room.
We're cooking. We're cooking. We're busy away. Yeah. There's a lot of passion, a lot of fire. I think to get something really, really awesome done. So yeah.
So I think the team is really actively moving. We're making a ton of progress right now. Battlefields, as far as I'm concerned, are pretty much in the bag, and campaign is making great progress. So
and
it's doing good.
So today we will be showing off one of the spoilers, I guess, but one of the planets, and we'll be showing off 3 battlefield flybys. Just for those at home, what's the level of polish that we'll be seeing on the assets that we share today?
So I'll let Dave speak to the battle stuff. From what we're seeing on campaign, we captured it a few weeks ago. It is, I would say, relatively early, but it's definitely showing the intent of where we want to go visually with the planets. So the again, I apologize because I captured the footage for this.
So.
and what we're going to be seeing on those is mostly the background artwork. So on top of that, there's a layer of there's the shroud and the region borders and all this kind of, and the user interface, etc., etc. So we're not going to take a look at that today.
So the caveats I had is, even the build I got here was from a separate branch. So there wasn't the optimization on there that others have. So caveats I have are there's optimization work, a load of optimization. There was no optimization on the planet clip because that was exploratory there. It's work in progress. The camera still having work, and I've written down too dark planet rear. Which I guess will make sense when we get there. So if you're happy, I'll throw us over to the planet.
Yeah, go for it.
So this is the first look at our intent for what a planet's going to look and feel like.
So that's a hive waste planet. So we can see the hive cities on there. We've got road connections. We have everything's a bit kind of sickly. You don't really want to go on vacation there with your mom or your kids.
Ma è tutto così verde.
On your own, then.
On your own, yeah.
Star Wars.
So this is one of our planet types. Our planets are kind of mix and match.
Figo fatto così, però mi piace.
We call biomes.
Sai cosa mi ricorda, visto così, con questo zoom?
Overall terrain
Mi ricorda Super Mario
so
Galaxy.
Arid biome, temperate biome, ice biome, waste biome, and then we also have on top of the planet we have
bello fatto così, mi piace.
Different kind of civilizational types.
Okay.
So this is a hive planet. So we can see the hive cities on it.
So obviously the intent is to have like a spectrum of world types present, right? And obviously hives classically, they've got those hive cities on them, and then the waste that they produce causes a bit of a problem for the rest of the planet, right? But then also we are going to be looking at like frontiers and civilized worlds, etc., which are also sort of mainstay planet types that are within the galaxy. So there's all sorts of different planets with different purpose that the Imperium has constructed. Sometimes lost. Often lost. Sometimes forgotten. Sometimes forgotten. It takes a long time for that.
Ciao Nico.
To work.
Buonasera anche a te.
So representing all of that is the goal here.
And just for everybody watching the stream, Dave is a designer. I'm an artist. You'll see me like talking about art nonstop, and that's my.
Mangia cetrioli, per quello secondo me bisognerà aspettare ancora.
Interpretation is what was the biggest challenge in trying to capture a whole planet?
Yeah, so it's not just about capturing a planet, because what we're really trying to do here is we're making a planet. We're making a,
Vero,
a
ha
Total
ragione.
War planet.
Yeah.
We're making a Warhammer 40,000 planet. So we have to get the confluence of all those different items. This isn't just like planet Earth or Mars or whatever. So we really want to get the feeling that you're playing a Total War game, that there's a familiarity when you're playing it. Also, there's all of the background story with 40K that we need to get in. So our challenge really is getting all those things, and normally that's challenging enough for when we're doing that on a 2D map. Yeah. But now everything's getting wrapped around a ball. So the actually our lives have been made kind of easy, and a lot of our process is very similar to making the 2D maps because of our tool chain that we've developed. So the designers and the coders have got a tool that allows us to place things quite easily, and we don't have to manually go in and do that.
So we promised we'd talk a little bit about scale here then. So I'll ask effectively the same question to you with a different flavour of it. If I'm a player, what is it like to try and capture a whole planet?
So you're going to be fighting through region to region, basically on these continents, with the aim of basically capturing like a key region or a key location within that. And across those conflicts, you're going to be encountering all sorts of different scale of civilization and what's the word, like density of the maps, etc. So it gives a really cool opportunity for you to sort of encounter like more desolate, wastelandy places, like you can imagine when you end up fighting on the perimeters of these hives. You're going to have like these wasteland battles effectively that are pretty much empty, right? Like some bits punctuating things, but largely it's pretty desolate out there, bar a few points of interest. And then of course when you work your way towards and into an actual hive, you're going to be fighting these much more dense, much more sort of like choke point oriented battles. But we'll get into a little bit of that soon, I'm sure.
Then, it's a great idea of then how I'm taking a planet. How many planets would be in a system?
A number of planets. More than one. More than one.
Well, it could be one.
It could be one. It's possible. It's possible to be one. But that's again strength of the tool set.
I would say it's going to be a handful of planets. It's not going to be like dozens and dozens of planets in the system. So it'll
How many can you fit in your hand? Fantastic. Then my last question on this bit before we move on to the battlefields. Then. What are the next steps? So what they've seen here is a capture from a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
Io spero solo che quando esca sia ottimizzato, perché se è ottimizzato male, ragazzi, non oso immaginare il lag.
This planet in terms of all the content.
An all-time classic.
So, like the prototype basic hive waste planet is done. We've got all the components now that feed into our planet making system, so we can make many different versions of this planet, infinite versions. We can also mix this biome, so we can have hive ice planets, hive arid planets, etc. So we've been working through all of the different planet types.
Yeah.
The team is essentially going to be done next week with all the planet types. After that, we have been developing the actual systems.
Yeah.
So we have a pretty good. You can see in the background when I talk about the system, we're talking about where all the planets are living, and there's a star, and there's all the nebula and the backdrop. So we have a pretty good basis for that already, but we're going to spend the next month or so with the campaign art team focusing on all that stuff.
Fantastic. Then, should we talk about some battles?
Let's talk about battles.
So we have 3 maps. So we revealed as part of our announced trailer, we had a hive map, which upper hive delta,
upper hive plateau.
Oh, so close. So upper hive plateau, and we did see the community kind of saying, "Oh, that's a lot of things on the map, right?" And when we're doing trailers and stuff, we do try and get there's the most going on. But what I wanted to do in this stream is, because we're talking to the Total War community, right? Is to show there's a variety there.
Yeah.
What we don't have, you spoke about like wastelands. We don't have like.
Che sono già comunque belli avanti per il 40K.
In development, still to be developed in that stage. But we do have some medium lows, and then the one.
And there's only so much we can talk about in one swing, right?
So when I said earlier that we had all the
una battaglia.
That
Finalmente.
wasn't strictly true. We do have two additional maps that we're working on, which are the lowest of the
I don't know Star Wars.
But look at that. That's exciting. That's really exciting. So to speak of this a little bit, basically, like there's going to be a really, really wide variety of spaces that you can fight in this game, right? Like you're going to be able to fight in much more dense environments and much more sparse ones. This one is like somewhere towards the bottom half of that sort of sparseness, right? Like you can see overall, you've got enough space on one side there to have an entire conflict, right? You can have two massed armies meet there, 20 units at least between that, having a big conflict on that side of the map. But you could also have it over here on the left-hand side, and it will end up being a little bit more sort of like, rat running. But the aim is, again, you've got all of these different tactical options and then sort of strategic elements that can come out of it. So one of the really big and exciting things that we're doing here is that destruction now is going to come into play, right? So
ha detto che puoi tipo distruggere le
don't
cose.
like
Sì, sì.
you don't have to keep it,
cosa.
È
right?
proprio una
So
feature
if
del
you find that
nuovo
pesky forest is getting in your way and
nuovo
you can't see
engine.
around it, then you can get rid of that thing. Or you
Molto
can
bene.
use it to hide him, right? And you classically use it to sneak things around and move around. So however you want to try and develop and use your units for your strategy, the aim here is to
Ma cos'è quel cannone che spara?
So you can do all sorts of really cool and interesting stuff.
Sarà
And again, the
un'antiaerea.
firepower's off the chart. So when we started looking at things like trees, we just went, well, these can't.
Antinavicella però. La laser
I recorded this with a debug camera, so I doubled up the height that we would usually go, just because otherwise it would take me so long to go all the way around the map. There are some missing and unfinished elements. I think I recorded this from a build that was 2 months old. In the next clip, you'll see there's a few low-res versions of outfield buildings which have already been updated. But otherwise, I think the main thing I'd point out is just, it's a debug camera, and I plonked down 20 infantry guard. Just
all the same guy.
It's the same unit,
It's all
just
the same guy,
20
yeah.
of them. Infantry squad, sorry. So just so they can see what that looks like in terms of how big these maps are.
Questo non lo so,
They're
Giuseppe.
absolutely honking.
Non ne hanno ancora parlato.
That we're shipping with, and not only that, they're all quite switchable in terms of lighting and biome, and also start pause when you're playing different maps. So it's going to be a lot of options for the player.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
I want to see a ship get blown up, and then we can move.
Here it comes. Here it comes.
Is it coming?
But I think another point to make here, and I think I've said this before in different forms, is that you're not always alone, right? Like again, we're fighting on these planets. There is a huge amount of conflict going across the surface of the planet as well, right? It's not you're not just you there, right? So when you show up in these planets, oh look at that, look at that guy. Do you want to point at your?
He'll come back.
Okay,
Maybe someone spotted him.
Maybe someone spotted him. We're going to talk about it in a minute. But you're not alone, right? So when you arrive on this planet. It might be, depending on the campaign situation, that you're actually going to be joining a fight that might be in conflict. That doesn't mean there's loads of stuff going on, but there will be like a number of small skirmishes potentially happening in the middle of the battlefield before you start. And whether you decide to
come
help or
mixano
really is down to you.
tipo l'architettura gotica con roba moderna.
How much you care about those poor guardsmen and their lives. But you don't have to care, and that's the wonderful thing.
This is the map from the trailer.
Upper Hive Plateau.
I was trying to, because I think the lighting is automatically set from a pool when you load into a map. I was trying to match the lighting from the trailer, but I loaded it like 6 times and I just gave up.
Yeah, I mean, we've got about 40 different lighting setups, so you might be a while to try to find the right one.
Variety is key. But I think like a thing we found really interesting to develop with was this concept of like dealing with these intense spaces, right? Because obviously there is a lot of complexity to building something that represents a hive world, right? And I think the team have done an absolutely stand-up job. I can't swear, can I? No. I really shouldn't swear. Wow, that's hard. They did a really brilliant job, like a flipping brilliant job. Really, they smashed it out of the park in capturing that. But one thing that we found with this,
mi sembra comunque un Warhammer con
everything is such an
un'ambientazione diversa, parlando di mappa.
When you get down into actually looking at them,
lo stile comunque è quello
right?
visto in Warhammer 3.
Massive areas that you can conduct combat within, right? So even when you're
ovviamente l'ambientazione è diversa, però anche a guardare così come è fatta questa città all'interno
are still pretty sizable, right? Like if there was a moment a little while ago, but you try and point at one down there, just down below the camera. Turn the camera down. Come on, Josh. You can fit like a sizable army in a lot of these spaces, and then in many of those spaces where things do get tight, there are opportunities to remove buildings and sort of make it a little bit bigger if that's your play style. If you've got an army that really values line of sight, then that can really help you there, because you go, I don't want those. Get rid of them.
And
right?
I think that's been the biggest mental shift in playing is dense maps in other Total War games, it's, well, these are all obstacles I am forced to work around the whole time. But a lot of these buildings I can get rid of. I can make this a lower density map if I want to fight on a lower density map.
Secondo me l'anno prossimo esce.
So you've got these really powerful tools, right, to be able to sort of like blow apart key parts of the battlefield.
No, secondo me sono abbastanza affidabili. E il discorso è capire se non incappino in, come si dice, in problemi all'ultimo, perché comunque Creative Assembly è famosa per steccare sempre le release date e andare lunga.
These cover zones, because again we are dealing with a universe that's full of really powerful but flat firing weapons.
Per me non è tanto quello il problema, è come esce il gioco, cioè che lo ritardino pure ma che lo facciano uscire bene, non che facciano ad esempio come altri titoli che hanno voluto pressare poi dopo.
Yeah, exactly. But it really can, you know, help the survivability of your weaker units. And something that we really wanted to capture here is that, you know, cover really does matter. When you've got fragile units, that fleshy poor humans that, you know, can't take a huge amount of punches or particularly get hit by bolt rounds, right? Like they need somewhere that gives them a bit of rest. It's about, here we go.
If they spot him on the left, middle left. There he is. He's waving.
Oh yeah,
there's a little guy there. So sometimes people stand on ruins. That's neat. But anyway, let's not worry too much now. But yeah, you can end up in these, you know, cover to cover fights, right? And at that point, it's about what tools do I have available to me? What can I unstick this situation with? And of course, you got so many toys here, right? You've got units that can jump over things with jetpacks and land and get into a melee, because melee is a great way to unstick a cover. But you also have
blow up a building that's next to them and drop it on top.
Drop it on them. Yeah, absolutely. You've got these wild bombardments if you positioned or have your fleet, you know, in orbit nearby you. Part of that whole tactical and strategic space is stitching together the campaign and the battle, so that having that fleet present with the right.
Io comunque non ho mai capito questa voglia di rappresentare lo scenario di un futuro così lontano, dove il contesto è estremamente futuristico, ma prendete ad esempio l'architettura degli edifici, cioè secondo me è totalmente decontestualizzato. Non parlo del gioco, parlo proprio di un ragionamento più ampio, una mia curiosità. Cioè.
Just before we move off this one, I wanted to ask you about deployment zones. So what's different about deployment?
Trovo veramente improbabile che in un futuro lontano si costruiscano edifici così.
We want to make sure we have I guess as many varied ways to
so cosa ne pensate voi? Magari è una mia fissazione.
So with this map you can fight it north to south effectively, so like from that direction. You can also fight it east to west, so you can have that deployment on a different basically axis. And we also are going to have assault battles, right, which have these sort of more.
Anche se comunque è vero che siamo development in progress, però guardando questa città io vedo molti item straripetuti negli edifici. Guardate ad esempio quelle torri campanarie, non so che sembrano dei campanili, ma boh, ne avrò visti almeno 15 uguali all'interno di questa mappa.
And speaking of variety, so we've seen an ice map, we've seen, this is, what's the biome for this one? Is it waste?
That will be a waste, yeah.
And what we'll show as well is, I think one of your favorites. This is an arid map. So this isn't an arid map.
Magari una volta ne parliamo, Tora, perché mi incuriosisce questa cosa.
So this could be all green.
Yeah, right? It could be ice.
It could be all ice. Yeah, exactly.
It could be all gunk. Gunk map.
So that's how this variety is really getting layered on, right?
Yeah.
So you fight on the same map twice, but one time you're fighting on this in an arid in this deployment, and the second time it's the opposite deployment.
Qual era la domanda Dick che avevi fatto? Scusa che sono andata adesso.
No, dicevo gli edifici, no? L'architettura degli edifici nelle mappe. Sei in un futuro stralanciato, stralontano, tutto ultramoderno, però gli edifici non lo so, secondo me sono un po' decontestualizzati, ecco.
It brings back memories, basically. But yeah, and again, this would probably speak of like a frontier world, right? So somewhere where like things are much more
perché vabbè,
civilization that has been built up
a livello proprio a livello di stile architettonico è possibile che noi umani è difficile che ritorneremo su stili vecchi come il gotico, eccetera. Però per esempio altre civiltà magari non hanno avuto il gotico ai loro tempi
the
lo ripropongono in
positional
termini
play
moderni.
really does matter
Per
a
lo
lot. Like,
stile.
so being able to build up multiple ranks of
È una
fire,
spiegazione.
like, behind you,
Poi
in
per
front of
quanto
you, to
invece
the
riguarda
side,
proprio il
you're
modo in
flanking
cui
with your
sono
missiles, etc.
strutturate
Like,
le
that
varie
is all an
cose,
important part of that space. So making sure that we have
ci può stare
that
che
in the
dipende anche dal
environment,
tipo di
yeah,
società
it's
che
it's
si ha.
important.
Allora,
Perché
Valos dice,
società-
dovuto alla lore,
I really
l'imperium è
like the big
strettamente
crash.
religioso e lo
The big
stile
crash shit is a
gotico
really good
dovuto
part
è
from
stato
that.
visto per millenni.
Yeah.
La religione
But
imperiale è
we
molto
do have
attaccata alla
just a
morte,
label.
ok?
We do have
I
the
Tau, al
fact
contrario,
that
sono
we have,
futuristici in tutto, ok,
very,
grazie.
very sort of like desolate
Sì, con me
and wants
dovete
to,
proprio
you know,
partire
we all
terra
love
terra,
them, and they all fit,
sulla
and that's
lore
the brilliant thing, is you just get such an
del
amazing
40K,
spectrum of
perché
spaces that you can
io,
end up fighting in.
This is
non
actually
essendo
structurally
un fan del
total
40K, non
site.
conosco il
If you
background.
look at, it's a divide into.
Sentitevi liberi di spiegarmi le cose come, non
points,
so, se le
yeah,
spieghereste a un bambino di
yeah.
5 anni.
Fantastic. Well, I only have one more question for you, and I think I'm answering it because I am going to ask you when will we hear from you next. But you're very busy making the game, so I think I know the answer
Ciao, Nero.
to this, which is we have a few.
What do you think?
We've got a few things planned at the moment of when we're going to show more.
E qua ci
of
vorrebbe
Total
Samurai.
40,000. We're still working on exactly which is going to
sì.
come out first. So regardless.
Dai,
of
va
which
bene,
it
Thomas,
is,
ben
by the end of
volentieri.
June, you will
Ben
have heard
volentieri.
more about Total and seen more, not just heard.
That's good.
Cool.
You'll hear more.
Good.
Cosa ha detto?
Probably from us too.
Ha scritto, se vuoi magari quando sappiamo la data di un'eventuale prossima live, provo a vedere se riesco ad essere presente in live come Tempest, che riesco a spiegare meglio i concetti. Apprezzo. Ben volentieri.
Alright, we have one more section and you're free to skedaddle. We have one more section and that is our community inbox. So
Siamo arrivati all'ultima parte, domande e risposte da parte della community, ragazzi.
Last time we had it its own separate stream. We found that you guys asked a lot of very specific game questions, and that is actually part of what inspired doing the show and tell. Let me reveal. There you go. It is. You're the only one I forgot to put a name tag on as well. So you'll have to introduce
I'm
yourself.
nobody.
But yeah, we had so many
personaggio.
game stuff, and we put them all to you in a bit of a gauntlet. We thought this format's a bit nicer because then the game teams can answer all of the game questions, and to you we can pose more of the kind of franchise level questions. So welcome back.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
2-3 months since you last
yeah.
year. So we've trawled through your inbox again of people emailing in. There were a lot of emails. There were, when we did the announcement of the stream, then a lot more emails.
Yeah, you guys blew me up. I just kept getting alerts for like 3 solid days.
Exactly. So we have enough in the bank for another one of these in the future.
Yeah.
We're going to ask just a few questions because we're relatively short on time. But there were some questions we saw real trends on. So for those who don't know you, because I don't have a name tag for you, who are you?
I'm Roger. I am the vice president for
Va bene, Tora.
Big silly title.
Tanto con te
No,
abbiamo fatto anche la campagna Versus.
Everybody that you've seen so far, they're
Che
real.
diciamo che per te non è stata molto fortunata. Diciamo.
So we're gonna put the
Che sfiga quella
questions to you
campagna che hai
then.
avuto.
That's fine.
So
Eri tu,
we've
giusto?
got, I think, 6
Che mi avevi
questions to run
sfidato.
through, and the first of those is, I saw in the emails you get a lot of suggestions on AI. Either why don't you just do this, or how can't you do that?
Yeah.
So what is the biggest challenge for improving AI?
Yeah, so I have answers for this, but I know that as soon as I leave here, all the AI programmers and designers will find me and potentially punch me. AI is lots of various challenges. For one, our game is heavily based in simulation, and so the AI has to do stuff that the players could also do. And therefore our AI has to be really dynamic, and we have like PhD level people who are doing the architecture of our AI in order to make it smart. But the other aspect of AI is that an all-knowing, all-seeing, all-doing AI is not actually
Con Sparta.
in order for the game to be fun,
sai che non mi ricordo. Io cosa giocavo? Siracusa forse, può essere.
Like there has to be the hope of doing it. And an AI theoretically can see everything. So getting the balance between those two things is very, very tough. I'd say that the architecting and the designing of the behaviors and those things are probably the most challenging bit. But then there comes the design part, which is how do you make the AI itself feel good? And then how do you make it feel good for as many people as possible? I think I think it'll be nice, hopefully, in the future that we have various settings in the game that allow players to take more control over the behaviors they want to see from the AI. I think a lot of people, many people, when they send me questions about AI, it's not hard enough.
Yeah.
And they don't want us to just raise HP and raise.
They want it to feel smart.
They want it to feel smart. So hopefully in the future we'll be able to implement more clever things like that.
Yeah, we did speak about in the Warhammer 3 section an update that will be coming in 8.1, which is a new way of priorities changing.
Rivincita sul 40K.
When it's layered
Va
on.
bene, l'accetto.
I should have started with this question because it's super
Accetto anche
relevant to
quella.
the actual stream we just did, which is, does working on multiple projects reduce focus? Why don't we just have everyone in the building working on the same thing?
Well, let's see. It doesn't reduce. Well, that's a nuanced question.
Yeah.
So it reduces focus for me because I have to be everywhere at once. We do have people who are dedicated to various projects. The way the games are made is that games are in various levels of production, and so you don't necessarily need the same people at the beginning as you do in the middle of production or near the end, and that we need to also move everyone. We also, so we have the ability to move people around, helps make our production more efficient. Also, if we were just a 100% staff, a complete team who could build a thing end to end, what you would have is that you may have places for no one, nowhere to go. They're just sitting there not being able to do work. So we have to find that balance between making sure we have the right number of employees in the building who can always be working and be productive and also not be wasteful, and also have enough projects going at once that we can kind of, release game over game over game. It's the intent that we're trying to release a game, every several years. That's the desire for the business. Of course, it has to be good first. So the bottom line is it's not a loss of focus. It's a strategic decision.
Yep.
To manage our people.
That is, I can see people as well. They are understand that I've maybe just given all of the hardball questions to you, and everyone else got, how are you doing? And you're getting, why are you putting people on different projects? So the next question is something that actually I think a lot of our player base will relate to because they themselves have had to go through it. What's the biggest hurdle in getting a new player into Total War?
So our game is really hard. The strategy games in general, but our game is really hard to talk about. It's not. It's if you play a shooter like Call of Duty or something, it's like, well, it's conceptually for people it's easy. You just pick up a gun, you point it, and you fire. Our game has depth and complexity and nuance, and a lot of the joy that you get from playing a strategy game, particularly Total War, is sort of the many hours you play, spend time like manipulating your game in order to appeal to the things that you're interested in, and getting people through that hurdle is a big step. So, I mean, to be fair, I think we've not done a very good job with our onboarding. I mean, we've tried. I think the prologue is probably our best
Secondo me lo step finale negli strategy game resta la giocabilità in multiplayer e soprattutto la modabilità. Sono le due caratteristiche che aumentano esponenzialmente la longevità di un gioco.
So we need to get that part better, and then I think, I do think there are many people who would love strategy games,
soprattutto nel mondo degli strategici, per come la vedo io.
I think what we've looked at is how to make the slope easier without making it easy, right? Without making the game feel easy. How can I get into the games industry? This is a question you get quite a lot.
I love that question. People find me on LinkedIn and they ask me this question, and I always answer because I think it feels like some big secret. There are multiple ways to get into the industry. There's no clear-cut way. I'll give a few examples, but I'd say probably the most important aspect to trying to get in the industry, if you really want to be in the industry, must be a willingness to relocate. Because almost certainly where you live, there's not a game studio. Almost certainly. And if you are brand new to the industry and you've never done anything that's relevant, you're probably not going to get a job that's remote. Because you don't have the skills, you don't have the thing that needs to be offered to a company to incur the fact that you're farther away. My recommendation for people is QA. QA is always a really great entry point to get in. I know lots of people who've gotten into QA who've had like master's degrees in psychology or mathematics or anything else. Obviously, if you can go, get training to do character art, programming, or those things, those are obvious ways to get in. But if you're coming into it from effectively nothing, and you want to get into like game design or those sorts of things, QA really is the secret. And just getting QA job anywhere is better than nowhere. So like even if you're targeting like a really huge studio in order to get a job in your favorite game, just find somewhere that will give you a job. And then the last piece of advice, particularly for those that want to do game design, is get into the modding community. Like really
So many people here from the modding.
Totally. I mean, my whole career, I mean, I've been in the business now for 20 years, and the vast majority of my designer colleagues have all come from modding of some flavor. And when you mod, you get to learn how games are made. You get to then experiment and share it with people and see how people react. Because so much of game design is really trying to understand human behavior and understand what does fun mean. And if you can spend time in your own free time learning that, when you do finally get a job and you get people who can mentor you, a lot of the language of understanding game development becomes much easier. But otherwise, QA, number one.
Fantastic, thank you. I have 2 more questions for you then, and they're pretty stonky. We see discussion a lot in the emails about where the game's moving, if we should be moving more towards a slower 4X game or a faster arcade game. Is there a franchise level view from you as to what our game's pacing is?
Yeah, so internally there's
diciamo che questo qui nei finali è molto più generico, non è specifico sui titoli che hanno parlato stasera.
That's not something I'm interested in doing, because I want Total War to be what it needs to be for the thing that we're building. So I want to make sure that when we start a project like Med 3 or we start a project like 40,000,
sì, Shikla, è vero, è vero. Io per esempio non lo dico perché blasto Warhammer, cioè in realtà non l'ho mai blastato, è un bel gioco, semplicemente io non sono un grande fan del fantasy, però comunque le campagne le ho giocate e ti dirò, a me la campagna di Warhammer 3 mi dice davvero poco, davvero poco. Mentre invece ad esempio la campagna più bella che ho giocato su un Total War, per profondità, per imprevedibilità, per opzioni disponibili, è stata su Total War 3 Kingdoms. Meglio anche di Rome 2 Total War, secondo me, meglio di Attila. Cioè, sono d'accordo con te quando parli della campagna. Perché poi quando uno non sta giocando in multiplayer, gioca perché gli piace il gioco, gioca in campagna.
There's a long-standing complaint that Total War is more fun early game than late game. What are the plans to tackle that?
This comes back to the sort of the question about new players in a lot of ways and getting them into the game. I think we have a lot of work to do in order to think about.
Sì, ma arriveranno anche degli annunci sugli altri titoli vecchi, sicuro. Loro hanno voluto partire da Rome 2 perché è quello, diciamo, degli storici vecchi più giocato ad oggi, ma secondo me questa cosa andrà a lambire ad altri. Io per esempio mi aspetto qualcosa su Three Kingdoms, lo dico già da tempo. Secondo me Three Kingdoms, anche per come lo sta spingendo nel midterm Creative Assembly sul suo canale YouTube, spesso e volentieri tirano fuori contenuti di Three Kingdoms, a me lascia pensare quello. È una mera supposizione, non lo dico perché ho sentito, fatto, no, questa qua è proprio una sensazione mia. Quindi prendetela con le pinze, ecco, non è...
One other thing though that's completely unrelated to this about the get into the games industry, if you are an experienced game dev, we do have jobs, we are hiring.
I think they were putting a link in the chat.
Yeah, please apply. We've got lots of cool jobs.
Fantastic. Well, That's all of the
Ragazzi,
questions
se
I have from
volete
Inbox,
fate domanda a
we'll
Creative
also
Assembly
keep you
che,
posted.
che
What I will do is I will put back
cerca,
the,
dopo che ne hanno licenziati
the
500 adesso li
UK one, the summary
cercano.
up. I hope you were able to watch some.
Siamo arrivati alla fine.
I don't know, you're probably busy doing a job.
No, I watched. I watched.
But,
Siamo arrivati alla fine,
we were
ragazzuoli.
able to show. I hope the community watching were able to enjoy it. It's a very different vibe we've gone for here. It's show and tell. Let us know what you thought. I've seen.
Ti ha soddisfatto, Thomas? Che cosa ti è piaciuto di più?
If you want another one of these, if you're interested in learning more about these, we've tried to be a bit more prescriptive in the dates and times that we've given. I think sometimes we can get called out as a little bit of coming soon, or it's going to. So we've tried to be very deliberate in letting you guys know when you'll be able to hear more and put some numbers on things so that you can understand. But otherwise, give us your feedback, give us your thoughts, and thank you so much for tuning in. Roger, thank you so much for coming on and letting me ask you the hardest questions I could find in the emails that were sent.
Send harder ones next time. It's okay.
We'll have a recap blog with a lot of this information perhaps next week. But otherwise, thank you everyone for watching, and we will see you at the next one.
Grazie,
I'm not
Josh.
end the stream like I usually do because I've managed to wangle getting the.
Allora, siamo giunti alla fine per questa diretta. Spunti interessanti ce ne sono tanti. Allora, io ve lo dico, domani a 12:30 uscirà il video di recap con le mie considerazioni personali. Oggi ho voluto lasciare spazio, diciamo, un po' alla chat, a sentire di più le vostre sensazioni, ma soprattutto a sentire anche quello che volevano dirci i ragazzi di Creative Assembly. Non ho voluto intasare troppo il tutto con quelli che sono i miei, diciamo, i miei pensieri personali che riassumerò nel video di domani. Quindi, detto questo, io spero che abbiate apprezzato un po' le nuove novità. Io personalmente devo dire di sì. Nulla di sconvolgente oggi. Oggi non hanno mostrato nulla di sconvolgente, anche se le immagini del mondo, del pianeta, pardon, su Total War 40K mi hanno un po' colpito. Sono tuttavia rimasto un po' non esaltato dall'ambientazione delle battaglie all'interno del contesto cittadino. Mi sembrava un po' troppo Warhammer 3, detto così, però va bene. Vedremo poi dopo come evolve il tutto. Io vi ringrazio della compagnia, vi invito come sempre a lasciare un bel like, iscrivetevi al canale per rimanere aggiornati sulle novità Total War e per seguire i nostri gameplay. Vi ricordo che martedì 5 maggio, quindi la settimana che arriva, noi saremo in live con il nuovo DLC di Europa Universalis 5, Fate of the Phoenix, che va a ritoccare Bisanzio e non solo, tante novità e ci divertiremo. Quindi io vi ringrazio della compagnia, noi ci vediamo in live domani alle ore 14 con la nostra campagna incredibile a Leggendario con Ivo il Divo. Un saluto a tutti, buona serata.